What if the secret to true peace lies not in chasing your dreams, but in pausing long enough to let life unfold around you? In a world that glorifies speed and control, could the quiet wisdom of stillness be the key to a fulfilled life? Imagine a life where you no longer run after happiness, but allow it to arrive gently, perfectly timed. Would you dare to let go, releasing the illusion of control, the suffering of clinging? In the rush of modern life, we are often taught that control is the key to success, happiness, and security. From childhood, we learn to plan meticulously, to anticipate outcomes, and to shape our lives according to a carefully constructed blueprint. We believe that if we can just manage every detail, our careers, relationships, emotions, and even the unpredictable twists of fate, we will finally find peace. Yet, as the Buddhist teachings in the YouTube summary remind us, this relentless grip on control is not a path to freedom, but a source of profound suffering. The more we cling to the illusion that we can dictate life's course, the more we set ourselves up for frustration, anxiety, and exhaustion. Buddhism identifies clinging or attachment as one of the root causes of suffering, known as dukkha. This clinging is not merely about holding on to material possessions or relationships. It extends to our desperate need to control outcomes, to ensure that life unfolds exactly as we envision it. The summary illustrates this beautifully with the metaphor of holding water in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Similarly, when we try to control every aspect of our lives, we create tension, not security. We become like a weary traveler, endlessly chasing a destination that keeps moving further away, unaware that the peace we seek is already within us. This suffering manifests in countless ways. Consider the moments when you've obsessed over a situation, perhaps a job interview, a relationship conflict, or a personal goal, trying to predict and manipulate every possible outcome. Your mind races with what-ifs, replaying scenarios, crafting strategies, and imagining worst-case scenarios. The result? Sleepless nights, a racing heart, and a sense of disconnection from the present moment. The Buddhist perspective teaches that this suffering does not come from the situation itself, but from our resistance to its natural flow. We cling to how we think life should be, rather than accepting how it is. This resistance creates a cycle of tension, where every unmet expectation feels like a personal failure. The summary offers a powerful insight. Control gives the illusion of safety, but in reality, it only creates tension, anxiety, and disappointment. This illusion is seductive because it promises certainty in an inherently uncertain world. We convince ourselves that if we plan harder, work longer, or worry more, we can bend reality to our will. Yet, life is not a machine that obeys our commands. It is, as the summary describes, like a flowing river, ever-changing, unpredictable, and alive. The more we try to dam this river, to force it into a straight line, the more we disrupt its natural rhythm and exhaust ourselves in the process. Letting go of control does not mean abandoning responsibility or becoming passive. Instead, it is an act of profound wisdom, a recognition that we are not the sole architects of our lives. Buddhism teaches that much of what happens is beyond our grasp, not as a punishment, but as a natural part of existence. The seasons change, relationships evolve, and opportunities arise and fade, often independent of our efforts. When we cling to the belief that we must control these events, we set ourselves against the very nature of life, creating unnecessary suffering. The practice of releasing control begins with awareness. Notice when your mind tightens around a situation, when your body tenses with the need to make things right. In these moments, pause and ask, what am I trying to hold on to? Why do I believe I need to control this? Often, the answer is fear. Fear of failure, fear of uncertainty, fear of not being enough. Yet, the Buddhist path invites us to meet this fear with compassion, not resistance. By acknowledging it without letting it dictate our actions, we begin to loosen our grip. The summary emphasizes that letting go is not about giving up on life, but about trusting it. When we release the need to control every outcome, we create space for peace to enter. Our shoulders relax, our breath deepens, and the weight we've carried begins to lift. This shift is not instantaneous. It is a practice, a daily return to presence. The Buddha's teachings remind us that peace arises not from forcing life into submission, but from aligning with its flow. When we stop fighting the river, we learn to move with its current, discovering that it was always carrying us toward where we needed to be. This release also opens us to unexpected blessings. The summary notes that often what arrives when you let go is far better, deeper, and more beautiful than anything you could have forced into being. Consider a time when you surrendered a tightly held plan, perhaps a job you didn't get, a relationship that ended, or a dream that shifted. In hindsight, did something new and meaningful emerge? Perhaps a better opportunity, a deeper connection, or a newfound sense of self. These are the gifts of letting go, the quiet miracles that appear when we stop clinging to our limited vision of what life should be. Releasing control is an act of courage because it requires us to trust in something greater than our own plans. It asks us to believe that life, in its vast intelligence, is unfolding as it should, even when we cannot see the full picture. This trust is not blind faith, but a grounded awareness that we are part of a larger rhythm, one that does not require our constant interference. By letting go, we do not lose power, we reclaim it. We step out of the cycle of suffering and into a space of presence where peace, joy, and clarity can take root. As the summary beautifully states, letting go invites peace back into your life. It gives your heart space to breathe. This is the heart of the Buddhist teaching on control. When we stop trying to hold water in our hands, we allow ourselves to be carried by the river. We stop exhausting ourselves with the need to manage every detail and begin to live fully in the moment. This is not the end of effort, but the beginning of ease, a life where we act with intention but surrender the outcome, where we trust that what is meant for us will find us when we are ready to receive it. The river of life. The river of life. Picture a river winding through a vast landscape, its waters shimmering under the sun, moving effortlessly around rocks, through valleys, and toward an unseen destination. It does not pause to question its path or fight the obstacles in its way. It flows, adapting to the terrain, sometimes rushing with urgency, sometimes pooling in quiet stillness. This river is a powerful symbol of life in Buddhist teachings, a dynamic, ever-changing force that carries its own wisdom and rhythm. Yet, in our modern pursuit of control, we often stand on the riverbank, trying to force the current to obey our commands. We build walls of expectation, dig channels of rigid plans, and exhaust ourselves resisting the natural flow. By learning to move with the river rather than against it, we discover a path to peace, alignment, and a deeper connection with the present moment. In Buddhism, life's impermanence, or anicca, is a fundamental truth. Like a river, life is never static. It shifts, evolves, and surprises, defying our attempts to pin it down. We often resist this truth, clinging to the belief that we can shape life into a predictable pattern, a secure job, a perfect relationship, a guaranteed future. But this resistance creates suffering. When we try to force the river to flow in a straight line, we disrupt its natural beauty and tire ourselves in the struggle. The more we push against life's unpredictability, the more we feel frustration, anxiety, and disconnection. True peace comes not from controlling the river, but from learning to trust its course. Consider a time when you tried to impose your will on a situation. Perhaps you clung to a failing project, believing sheer effort could make it succeed. Maybe you pushed for a decision before it was time, only to regret the haste later. Or perhaps you obsessed over a future outcome, losing sleep over what might happen. In these moments, the effort to control feels like paddling against a powerful current. Every stroke is heavy, every moment draining. The struggle is not with the situation itself, but with our refusal to accept its natural unfolding. We suffer not because life changes, but because we demand it stay the same. The river metaphor invites us to rethink our approach. A river does not fight the boulders in its path. It flows around them, carving new routes with grace. It does not rush to reach the sea, nor does it linger in fear of moving forward. It trusts its journey, adapting to each twist and turn. Similarly, Buddhism encourages us to align with life's flow, to act with intention but release attachment to the outcome. This does not mean abandoning our goals or becoming passive. It means recognizing that our efforts are part of a larger rhythm, one we can influence but not dictate. When we stop fighting the current, we find ease, not exhaustion. This alignment requires a shift from control to trust. Trusting the river means believing that life has its own intelligence, even when its direction feels uncertain. It means accepting that a delay might be a moment of preparation, a loss might open a new path, or a detour might lead to unexpected beauty. This trust is not blind optimism, but a grounded faith in life's process. When we let go of the need to force every outcome, we create space for peace to enter. Our minds quiet, our bodies relax, and we begin to notice the subtle gifts of the present moment, a kind word, a fleeting moment of clarity, the warmth of a breath. The river's flow also teaches us about impermanence. Just as no two moments of a river are the same, no moment in life is fixed. Relationships evolve, opportunities shift, and even our sense of self changes over time. Clinging to a single version of reality, whether it's a job, a person, or a dream, is like trying to hold a wave in place. The effort is futile, and the tighter we grasp, the more pain we create. Buddhism invites us to embrace impermanence, to see it not as a threat, but as a teacher. When we accept that life is fluid, we stop resisting its changes and start moving with them, finding freedom in the flow. Practicing this surrender in daily life begins with awareness. When you feel the urge to control, whether it's micromanaging a task, worrying about the future, or replaying a past mistake, pause. Take a deep breath and imagine yourself stepping into the river. Feel the water's gentle pull, guiding you forward. Ask, where am I fighting life's flow? What would it feel like to let go here? This practice is not about giving up, but about softening, about trusting that your actions matter, but the outcome is not entirely yours to shape. It's about planting seeds and letting the river carry them where they need to go. The beauty of flowing with life lies in its surprises. A river's twists often lead to breathtaking vistas, canyons carved by persistence, waterfalls born from sudden drops. Similarly, life's unexpected turns can bring profound growth. A missed opportunity might lead to a better one. A moment of stillness might reveal a new insight. These are the river's gifts, available only when we stop trying to dictate its path. By moving with the current, we open ourselves to possibilities we couldn't have planned, discovering that the river was always leading us towards something meaningful. Ultimately, the river of life is not something to conquer, but something to join. It does not need our force to flow, only our presence to move with it. When we align with this rhythm, we find a peace that does not depend on controlling every detail, but on trusting the journey. We begin to live not as adversaries of life, but as partners, dancing with its ebbs and flows. The river does not promise a destination free of challenges, but it promises a journey rich with meaning, one that unfolds naturally when we have the courage to let go and trust the flow. The courage to let go. In a world that equates strength with holding on, gripping tightly to plans, outcomes, and expectations, letting go can feel like defeat. We're taught to fight for what we want, to cling to our vision of how life should unfold, as if surrender means abandoning our dreams or admitting weakness. Yet, the Buddhist teachings remind us that letting go is not a sign of failure, but an act of profound courage. It is the strength to release the illusion that we can control every aspect of life, the bravery to trust the unknown, and the wisdom to create space for peace to emerge. Far from diminishing us, letting go opens the door to unexpected blessings, deeper presence, and a life aligned with its natural flow. The act of letting go is often misunderstood. Many of us fear that releasing control means giving up on our goals or becoming passive in the face of life's challenges. But in Buddhist philosophy, letting go is not about apathy or resignation. It is about recognizing the limits of our control and choosing to align with life's inherent rhythm. The document beautifully captures this idea. Letting go does not mean ceasing to care or abandoning effort, but rather ceasing to believe that we are the sole architects of the universe. It is an acknowledgement that life, like a river, has its own intelligence, one that often surpasses our carefully laid plans. This shift requires courage because it asks us to confront deeply ingrained fears, the fear of uncertainty, the fear of failure, the fear that if we loosen our grip, everything will fall apart. These fears are natural, rooted in our human desire for security and predictability. Yet, clinging to control often amplifies these fears, trapping us in a cycle of anxiety and exhaustion. When we obsess over outcomes, whether it's securing a promotion, repairing a strained relationship, or achieving a personal milestone, we tie our happiness to something external and unpredictable. The result is a life spent chasing rather than living, striving rather than being. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering stems from this clinging, known as upadana. We cling not only to material things but to ideas, expectations, and identities that we believe define us. Letting go, then, is an act of liberation, a courageous step toward freeing ourselves from the weight of these attachments. The document emphasizes that letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean being careless or lazy. And it certainly doesn't mean that you stop caring about your life. Instead, it means trusting that life's unfolding does not require our constant intervention. This trust is not passive. It is an active, intentional choice to release what no longer serves us and to make space for what is meant to be. Consider a moment in your life when holding on felt heavier than letting go. Perhaps it was a relationship that drained your energy, a job that no longer aligned with your values, or a belief about yourself that kept you small. In those moments, the decision to release, whether it was walking away, changing course, or reframing your perspective, likely felt daunting. The mind protests, "What if I regret this? What if nothing better comes? What if I'm left with nothing?" Yet, when you found the courage to let go, did you not discover a sense of relief, a lightness, a new clarity? This is the gift of release. It creates space for peace to enter, for joy to resurface, and for life to surprise you with possibilities you couldn't have planned. The courage to let go is also a practice of faith, not in a specific outcome, but in the process of life itself. The document notes that when you release this constant need to control, something peaceful happens inside you. Your shoulders relax, your breath deepens, the weight you've been carrying slowly begins to lift. This inner shift is not merely emotional, it is physiological, mental, and spiritual. When we stop fighting life's natural flow, our nervous system calms, our thoughts slow, and our hearts open. We begin to live in the present moment, unburdened by the need to orchestrate the future or rewrite the past. This courage manifests in small, everyday choices. It's choosing not to react impulsively to a frustrating email, but instead pausing to breathe and respond with clarity. It's accepting that a delayed flight or a missed opportunity is not a catastrophe, but part of life's unpredictable rhythm. It's allowing a conversation to end without needing to have the last word, trusting that understanding will come in time. These moments of release, though subtle, are acts of profound bravery. They require us to face the discomfort of uncertainty and choose peace over control, presence over resistance. The document highlights that letting go often leads to unexpected blessings. When we release our tight grip on how things should be, we open ourselves to possibilities we couldn't have imagined. A closed door might lead to a new path. A failed plan might reveal a deeper purpose. This is not to say that letting go guarantees a fairy tale outcome, but it does guarantee a shift in perspective. By releasing our need to control, we become receptive to life's surprises, moments of serendipity, connections that form unexpectedly, or insights that arise in quiet reflection. These are the rewards of courage, the fruits of trusting that life is working for us, even when it feels uncertain. In Buddhist practice, this courage is cultivated through mindfulness, the art of staying present with what is, without judgment or resistance. When we notice ourselves clinging, whether to a plan, a fear, or an expectation, we pause, breathe, and gently return to the moment. This practice is not about erasing our desires, but about holding them lightly, with open hands rather than clenched fists. The document reminds us that letting go invites peace back into your life. It gives your heart space to breathe. This space is where transformation happens, where we rediscover our capacity to live fully, even in the face of uncertainty. Ultimately, the courage to let go is an act of self-compassion. It is a recognition that we do not need to carry the weight of the world to prove our worth. It is a choice to honor our own peace, to trust that we are enough, even without controlling every detail. As the document states, let go, not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that you don't need to control everything to live a full and peaceful life. This wisdom is the heart of courage, a courage that does not fight to hold on but dares to release, trusting that in doing so, we make room for life to unfold in its own beautiful, unpredictable way. Trusting life's timing. In our fast-paced world, we are conditioned to believe that everything must happen on our schedule. We set deadlines for success, timelines for love, and benchmarks for healing, convinced that if we don't achieve our goals by a certain age or stage, we've fallen behind. This obsession with controlling when things happen creates a subtle but pervasive anxiety as we measure our lives against an imaginary clock. Buddhist teachings offer a different perspective. Life unfolds according to its own rhythm, not our demands. Trusting life's timing is not about waiting passively, but about cultivating a deep faith that what is meant for us will arrive when we are ready to receive it. By surrendering to this natural cadence, we release the burden of forcing outcomes and open ourselves to a peace that transcends our plans. The urge to control life's timing stems from a fear of scarcity, a belief that time is running out, that opportunities are finite, that if we don't make things happen now, they never will. This fear drives us to rush, to push, to fill every moment with action in the hope of securing our desired future. Yet, Buddhism reminds us that this frantic pace disconnects us from the present, the only place where life truly exists. The concept of anicca, or impermanence, teaches that everything arises and passes in its own time. Just as a flower does not bloom before its season or a fruit ripen before it's ready, the events of our lives unfold according to a rhythm we cannot fully control. Resisting this rhythm creates suffering. Trusting it brings ease. Consider a moment when you felt impatient for something to happen, perhaps waiting for a career breakthrough, a relationship to deepen, or a personal wound to heal. The mind races with questions: why isn't this happening yet? What am I doing wrong? When will I get there? This impatience is a form of resistance, a refusal to accept that life's timing may differ from our own. The more we fight this, the more we exhaust ourselves, like a swimmer battling a current that could carry them effortlessly if they stopped struggling. Trusting life's timing means letting go of the belief that we know exactly when things should happen, and embracing the possibility that delays, detours, or pauses are part of a larger, wiser process. This trust is not blind faith, but a practice of presence, rooted in the understanding that life is always working, even when we cannot see it. In nature, growth often happens beneath the surface, invisible to the eye. A seed buried in the soil shows no sign of progress for weeks, yet its roots are quietly spreading, preparing for the moment it breaks through the earth. Similarly, The moments in our lives that feel stagnant, waiting for clarity, healing, or change are not wasted. They are seasons of preparation, where our inner world is being shaped, softened, and strengthened for what is to come. Trusting this process means believing that even in the stillness, something sacred is unfolding. Buddhism encourages us to cultivate this trust through mindfulness, the practice of staying present with what is, without judging it as insufficient or incomplete. When we obsess over when something will happen, we pull ourselves out of the now, living in a future that does not yet exist. By returning to the present through the breath, through awareness of the body, through noticing the world around us, we begin to see that this moment is enough. The peace we seek is not waiting at the end of a timeline, but available right now, in the act of trusting that life is unfolding as it should. This trust transforms our relationship with waiting. Instead of seeing it as a punishment, we begin to view it as a sacred space. The pause between action and outcome becomes an opportunity to deepen our patience, to listen to our inner wisdom, to grow in ways that rushing could never allow. For example, think of a time when a delay led to something better than you had planned. Perhaps a job you didn't get opened the door to a more fulfilling path, or a relationship that took time to blossom grew stronger because of the wait. These moments are not accidents, but evidence of life's intelligence, working in ways we cannot always predict. Practicing trust in life's timing begins with small, intentional acts. When you feel the urge to rush, whether it's pushing for an answer, forcing a decision, or worrying about the future, pause. Take a deep breath and ask, what if this moment is exactly where I need to be? What if this delay is preparing me for something greater? Notice the tension in your body, the racing thoughts, and gently let them soften. This practice is not about suppressing your desires, but about holding them lightly, trusting that what is meant for you will not miss you. As the Buddhist saying goes, when the fruit is ripe, it falls effortlessly. Your role is to tend the soil, not to force the fruit. This trust also frees us from the tyranny of comparison. In a world that celebrates speed and achievement, it's easy to feel left behind when others seem to reach their goals faster. But life's timing is deeply personal, shaped by our unique journey. Someone else's bloom does not diminish your own. Their season is not yours. By trusting your own rhythm, you release the need to measure your progress against others and find peace in your own unfolding. This peace is not fragile. It does not depend on external markers of success, but on an inner knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Ultimately, trusting life's timing is an act of surrender to the mystery of existence. It is a recognition that we do not need to see the entire path to take the next step. It is a commitment to live fully in the present, knowing that each moment is preparing us for the next. When we trust life's timing, we stop fighting the pauses and start embracing them as opportunities for growth, reflection, and alignment. We begin to live with a quiet confidence that what is meant for us will arrive not because we forced it, but because we were open to it. This trust transforms waiting from a source of anxiety into a space of possibility, where peace, clarity, and unexpected blessings can take root. The inner shift of release. When we let go of the relentless need to control life's outcomes, something profound begins to stir within us. It's not just the external world that shifts, our plans loosening, our expectations softening, but an internal transformation that redefines how we experience ourselves and the world around us. In Buddhist teachings, releasing control is not a loss but a return, a homecoming to a state of presence and peace that has always been within us, waiting beneath the layers of striving and resistance. This inner shift, born from surrender, brings a deepening of breath, a quieting of the mind, and a reconnection with the soul's quiet wisdom. It is a transformation that does not demand effort, but unfolds naturally when we stop fighting life's flow and allow ourselves to be. The act of releasing control is often met with fear, as it challenges the ego's belief that safety lies in managing every detail. We cling to control because it feels like a shield against uncertainty, a way to ensure that life aligns with our vision of how it should be. Yet, this clinging creates a constant state of tension, anxiety over what might go wrong, frustration when plans falter, and exhaustion from carrying the weight of outcomes that were never fully ours to dictate. Buddhism teaches that this tension is a form of suffering, rooted in our attachment to illusions of permanence and certainty. When we release this attachment, we step out of the cycle of struggle and into a space of inner ease, where peace becomes not something we chase but something we embody. This inner shift begins with a subtle but powerful change in our physical and emotional state. When we stop trying to force life into a predetermined shape, the body responds. The shoulders, once hunched with the burden of control, begin to relax. The breath, once shallow and rushed, deepens into a steady rhythm. The mind, once racing with what-ifs and what-nows, slows its frantic pace. This is not a mere metaphor but a tangible experience. In moments of release, we feel lighter, as if a weight we didn't realize we were carrying has been lifted. This lightness is not the absence of challenges but the presence of freedom, the freedom to exist without being defined by outcomes or expectations. Buddhist practice emphasizes mindfulness as a path to this freedom. By bringing awareness to the present moment, we begin to notice where we are clinging, where our thoughts tighten around a fear, where our body braces against uncertainty. In this noticing, we create space to choose differently. Instead of reacting with control, we pause, breathe, and allow the moment to be as it is. This practice is not about erasing our desires or goals, but about holding them with open hands, trusting that life will unfold as it needs to. The inner shift of release is this movement from grasping to allowing, from resistance to acceptance, from fear to presence. This shift also reconnects us with our inner wisdom, the quiet voice that often gets drowned out by the noise of striving. In our obsession with controlling the future, we lose touch with the part of ourselves that knows intuitively that we are enough as we are. Buddhism teaches that beneath the layers of ego, fear, and conditioning lies a still presence, an awareness that observes without judgment, a soul that remains steady amid life's changes. When we release control, we create space for this presence to emerge. We begin to hear the whispers of our intuition, guiding us not toward a specific outcome, but toward a deeper alignment with who we are and what truly matters. Consider a time when you let go of something you were holding tightly, a plan that wasn't working, a relationship that no longer served, or a belief that kept you small. In the moment of release, there may have been fear or grief, but what followed? Often, it's a sense of clarity, a return to yourself, a rediscovery of joy that had been buried under pressure. This is the gift of release. It strips away what is unnecessary, revealing the simplicity and beauty of being present. The inner shift is not about becoming someone new, but about remembering who you've always been beneath the noise, a being capable of peace, resilience, and connection. This transformation also opens us to unexpected blessings. When we stop forcing life to conform to our plans, we make room for possibilities we couldn't have imagined. A missed opportunity might lead to a new path. A moment of stillness might spark a creative insight. A surrendered expectation might give way to a deeper fulfillment. These blessings are not rewards for doing it right, but natural outcomes of aligning with life's flow. Buddhism teaches that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a process to be lived. And when we release control, we become participants in this process, open to its surprises and gifts. The inner shift of release is also a practice of self-compassion. It requires us to be gentle with ourselves, to acknowledge our fears without letting them define us, to honor our efforts without tying our worth to their success. In letting go, we say to ourselves, "I am enough, even if this doesn't go as planned. I am whole, even in uncertainty." This compassion softens the heart, allowing us to meet life's challenges with grace rather than struggle. It reminds us that our value does not lie in what we achieve or control, but in our capacity to be present, to feel deeply, and to trust the unfolding of our journey. Ultimately, the inner shift of release is a return to the present moment, the only place where peace can truly be found. When we stop obsessing over outcomes, we begin to live fully in the now, not as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. The breath becomes a sanctuary, the body a home, the moment a gift. This presence does not eliminate life's uncertainties, but it transforms how we meet them. We become like a tree, rooted in the earth, swaying with the wind but not breaking. We become like a river, flowing around obstacles, trusting the journey. We become ourselves, fully alive, fully present, fully at peace. This shift is not a one-time event, but a practice, a daily return to letting go. Each time we notice ourselves clinging, we have the opportunity to pause, breathe, and release. Each time we choose trust over control, we deepen our connection to the present. And each time we surrender the need to force life's timing, we invite peace to take root within us. The inner shift of release is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, a reminder that we do not need to control everything to live a full life, only to be open, present, and willing to flow with the river of existence. The power of stillness, the myth of constant movement. In a world that equates busyness with worth, we are taught from a young age that constant movement is the path to success, happiness, and significance. Society glorifies speed, rushing from one goal to the next, filling every moment with tasks, achievements, and distractions. We're praised for multitasking, admired for relentless ambition, and celebrated for never slowing down. The unspoken message is clear: to stop, to pause, to be still is to fall behind, to miss out, to be less. Yet Buddhist teachings challenge this myth, revealing that this obsession with constant movement pulls us away from ourselves, disconnecting us from the present moment and the deeper peace that lies within stillness. By unraveling the illusion that busyness equals fulfillment, we can rediscover the transformative power of pausing and reconnect with the essence of who we are. The myth of constant movement is deeply ingrained in modern culture. From the moment we wake, we're bombarded with messages urging us to do more, achieve more, be more. Productivity apps track our efficiency, social media showcases others' endless accomplishments, and workplaces reward those who never seem to rest. We internalize the belief that a full schedule is a full life, that a quiet moment is a wasted one. This mindset creates a restless cycle. We chase goals to feel worthy, seek distractions to avoid discomfort, and fill silence with noise to escape our own thoughts. But in this relentless pursuit, we lose something vital: our connection to the present, to our inner wisdom, and to the simple joy of being. Buddhism teaches that this constant striving is a source of suffering, or dukkha. The more we run, the more we distance ourselves from the only place where true peace resides, the present moment. When we're always moving, planning the next step, checking off tasks, scrolling through endless feeds, we're not truly living. We're existing in a state of disconnection. Our minds become cluttered with thoughts of what's next. Our bodies tense with the pressure to keep up, and our hearts ache with a subtle sense of emptiness we can't quite name. The myth of constant movement promises fulfillment but delivers exhaustion, leaving us chasing a horizon that never arrives. Consider how this myth plays out in daily life. How often do you rush through a meal, barely tasting it, because your mind is already on the next task? How many times have you sat with a loved one, physically present but mentally elsewhere, lost in worries or plans? How frequently do you fill a quiet moment with your phone, unable to sit with the stillness? These habits reflect a deeper belief that movement is productive, while stillness is lazy or unproductive. Yet, Buddhism reveals that this belief is an illusion. Constant movement does not bring us closer to ourselves. It pulls us further away, scattering our attention and dulling our awareness. The Buddhist path invites us to question this cultural narrative and see it for what it is: a misunderstanding of life's purpose. Life is not a race to be won or a checklist to be completed. It is a series of moments, each complete in itself, each holding the potential for clarity, connection, and peace. When we're always moving, we miss these moments. We overlook the beauty of a sunrise because we're hurrying to work. We miss the warmth of a kind word because we're distracted by our to-do list. We lose touch with our own hearts because we're too busy chasing what we think we need to be whole. This disconnection is not just a personal loss, it's a spiritual one. In Buddhist philosophy, the self is not found in what we achieve or accumulate, but in our capacity to be fully present. Constant movement keeps us tethered to the surface of life, skimming across experiences without diving into their depth. We become like a boat adrift, carried by external currents, society's expectations, others' opinions, our own fears, without an anchor in our own awareness. The practice of stillness, however, grounds us. It brings us back to the present, where we can hear the quiet voice of our intuition, feel the rhythm of our breath, and reconnect with the part of us that is whole, no matter what we accomplish. Challenging the myth of constant movement requires courage, because it means going against the grain of a world that equates busyness with value. It means choosing to pause when everyone else is rushing, to sit in silence when distractions are abundant, to value presence over productivity. This choice is not about rejecting ambition or goals, but about redefining what matters. Buddhism teaches that true fulfillment comes not from how much we do, but from how deeply we live. A single moment of full awareness, feeling the breeze on your skin, listening to a friend's laughter, breathing with intention, holds more richness than a lifetime of mindless striving. The practice of stillness begins with small, intentional acts. When you feel the urge to fill every moment with action, pause, take a breath, and notice your surroundings, the texture of the air, the sound of your heartbeat, the light in the room. Ask, why am I rushing? What am I afraid of missing? Often, the answer is rooted in fear, fear of falling behind, fear of not being enough. By naming this fear without judgment, you create space to choose differently. You can choose to slow down, to savor the moment, to trust that you are not defined by your output, but by your presence. This shift also reveals the gifts of stillness. When we stop moving long enough to be present, we begin to notice what we've been missing. The clarity that comes when the mind settles, the joy that arises in ordinary moments, the connection to ourselves that deepens in silence. These are not rewards for doing more, but for doing less, for letting go of the need to prove ourselves through constant action. Buddhism reminds us that the present moment is enough, not as a stepping stone to something better, but as the destination itself. By dismantling the myth of constant movement, we free ourselves to live fully, not in the future we're chasing, but in the now we're inhabiting. Ultimately, the myth of constant movement keeps us running from the very thing we seek, a sense of wholeness, peace, and belonging. By embracing stillness, we reclaim these gifts, not by adding more to our lives, but by subtracting the noise that obscures them. We learn that we don't need to move faster to be worthy. We need to be present to be alive. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Life is not found in the rush, but in the pause, not in the chase, but in the stillness, not in what we achieve, but in who we become when we finally stop running and start being. Stillness as awareness. In a world that celebrates constant action and productivity, stillness is often mistaken for idleness, a mere absence of doing. Yet, in Buddhist teachings, stillness is far more than a pause in activity. It is a profound state of awareness, a sacred space where the mind quiets, the heart opens, and the soul reconnects with the truth of the present moment. The story of the Buddha's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree illustrates this beautifully. It was not through relentless striving, but through sitting in deep, mindful stillness that he awakened to the nature of existence. This stillness, far from being passive, is an active engagement with awareness, a gateway to clarity, wisdom, and a deeper connection with ourselves. By embracing stillness as a practice of presence, we learn to see clearly, to hear the quiet voice of our inner truth, and to live fully in the now. Buddhism teaches that the mind is naturally restless, leaping from thought to thought, like a monkey swinging between branches. In our daily lives, this restlessness manifests as a constant pull toward the future or the past, worrying about what's next, replaying old regrets, or chasing fleeting distractions. This mental chatter keeps us disconnected from the present, clouding our ability to see life as it is. Stillness, as a practice of awareness, offers a way to break this cycle. It is not about silencing the mind forcibly, but about observing it with compassion, allowing its turbulence to settle naturally, like sediment in a glass of water left undisturbed. In this settling, we discover a clarity that reveals the richness of the moment we're in. The Buddha's journey to enlightenment under the Bodhi tree is a powerful example of stillness as awareness. After years of ascetic practices and intense striving, he realized that forcing awakening through extreme effort only deepened his suffering. Instead, he chose to sit, to breathe, to be present with whatever arose, thoughts, sensations, doubts, without clinging or resisting. In that sacred stillness, he cultivated vipassana, or insight meditation, observing the impermanent nature of all things. This wasn't passivity, it was a radical act of presence, a commitment to seeing reality without distortion. Through this practice, he awakened to the Four Noble Truths, understanding the nature of suffering and the path to liberation. His stillness was not empty, it was alive with awareness, a space where wisdom could take root. This story teaches us that stillness is not a retreat from life, but a deeper entry into it. When we pause, whether through meditation, a quiet walk, or a moment of intentional breathing, we create a space to observe our inner world without judgment. We notice the thoughts that pull us away, the emotions that demand our attention, the fears that whisper we're not enough. In stillness, we don't fight these. We let them be, watching them rise and fall like waves on a shore. This awareness transforms our relationship with ourselves. Instead of being swept away by the mind's stories, we become the observer, the steady presence that witnesses without being consumed. Practicing stillness as awareness begins with simple acts. Find a quiet moment, perhaps early in the morning or during a break in your day, and sit with your breath. Notice its rhythm, the rise and fall of your chest, the sensation of air moving through you. When thoughts arise, as they will, don't push them away or chase them. Simply acknowledge them and return to the breath. This practice, rooted in Buddhist mindfulness, trains us to be present without needing to control or escape. Over time, it reveals that the present moment is not lacking. It is full of life, full of sensation, full of possibility. This awareness also deepens our connection to the world around us. In stillness, we begin to notice what we've overlooked in our rush: the texture of a leaf, the sound of distant birds, the fleeting expression on a loved one's face. These are not trivial details. They are the threads of life's tapestry woven into the present moment. Buddhism teaches that every moment, no matter how ordinary, holds the potential for awakening when we meet it with full awareness. The Buddha didn't find enlightenment in grand gestures, but in the quiet act of sitting, observing, and being. Similarly, our own moments of stillness, however brief, can become sacred spaces where we reconnect with the beauty of existence. The practice of stillness also counters the societal myth that constant movement equals progress. In our culture, we're conditioned to believe that doing more makes us more valuable, that rest is a luxury we can't afford. Yet, this belief keeps us trapped in a cycle of exhaustion, disconnected from our true selves. Stillness as awareness challenges this, showing us that true progress lies not in how much we do, but in how deeply we see. When we pause, we create space for insight, to arise insights about our desires, our fears, our purpose. These insights don't come from striving, they come from being still enough to listen. This practice is not without its challenges. Sitting in stillness can feel uncomfortable at first, as the mind resists the quiet, surfacing with restlessness or buried emotions. This discomfort is not a sign of failure, but a sign of growth. In Buddhist meditation, we're taught to meet these moments with compassion, to sit with them as we would a friend in pain. By staying present, we allow the mind to settle, revealing a clarity that was always there, obscured by the noise of constant doing. This clarity is not an achievement, but a remembering, a return to the awareness that is our natural state. Ultimately, stillness as awareness is a path to liberation. It frees us from the illusion that we must always be moving to be worthy, that we must fill every moment to be whole. It reminds us that the present moment is enough, not as a means to an end, but as a space where life unfolds in its fullness. When we cultivate this awareness, we begin to live differently, not as prisoners of our thoughts or society's demands, but as witnesses to our own existence, grounded in the now. Like the Buddha under the Bodhi tree, we find that wisdom, peace, and connection are not out there to be chased, but within us, waiting to be uncovered in the quiet embrace of stillness, receiving through pause. In our relentless pursuit of goals, happiness, and meaning, we often believe that life's greatest gifts, peace, clarity, love, and healing, must be chased, earned, or forced into existence. We rush toward them, convinced that constant effort is the key to their arrival. Yet, Buddhist teachings offer a profound counterpoint. These treasures of the heart cannot be hunted down. They arrive when we stop moving long enough to receive them. Pausing, far from being a passive act, is a powerful invitation for life's blessings to enter naturally. By creating space through stillness, we open ourselves to the subtle beauty, wisdom, and connection that are already present, waiting for us to notice. This practice of receiving through pause transforms our relationship with life, revealing that what we seek is often closer than we think. The modern world conditions us to equate movement with progress. We're taught to chase success, to pursue love, to seek peace as if they were distant destinations, always just out of reach. This mindset keeps us in a state of perpetual striving, where every moment is a means to an end, and stillness feels like a delay. But Buddhism challenges this notion, teaching that the present moment is not a hurdle to overcome, but the very space where life's deepest gifts unfold. When we pause, whether through a mindful breath, a quiet moment of reflection, or a deliberate break from our rush, we create an opening for clarity, peace, and love to flow in. Not because we've earned them, but because we've stopped running long enough to receive them. This idea is beautifully illustrated in the Buddhist metaphor of a glass of cloudy water. When stirred constantly, the water remains murky, its contents obscured by motion, but when left still, the sediment settles and the water becomes clear. Our minds and hearts are much the same. When we're caught in the whirlwind of constant activity, planning, worrying, doing the noise of our thoughts clouds our perception, we miss the subtle blessings around us, the warmth of a kind gesture, the calm of a deep breath, the quiet wisdom of our intuition. Pausing allows this mental sediment to settle, revealing the clarity and beauty that were always there, waiting to be seen. In Buddhist practice, this pause is cultivated through mindfulness, the art of being fully present without judgment. When we pause, we step out of the cycle of chasing and into a space of receiving. This doesn't mean abandoning our goals or desires, but shifting how we approach them. Instead of forcing outcomes, we create space for life to meet us. For example, consider a moment when you were rushing through your day, consumed by tasks or worries. Perhaps you paused, even briefly, to sit quietly, to breathe, to notice the world around you. In that pause, did you feel a shift, a moment of calm, a spark of insight, or a reconnection with something deeper within yourself? These are the gifts of stillness, arriving not through effort, but through openness. Pausing allows us to receive life's blessings because it aligns us with the present moment, the only place where life truly happens. Buddhism teaches that the past is a memory and the future a dream. Only the now is real. Yet, in our haste, we often overlook the richness of the present. We miss the love in a friend's smile because we're distracted by our plans. We bypass the peace of a quiet morning because we're already thinking about tomorrow. When we pause, we return to the now, where love, clarity, and healing reside. This return is not about achieving something new, but about noticing what's already here, the ordinary moments that, when met with awareness, become extraordinary. The practice of receiving through pause is not always easy. Stillness can feel foreign, even uncomfortable, in a world that glorifies speed. When we pause, we may encounter restlessness, buried emotions, or fears we've been avoiding. Yet, Buddhism encourages us to meet these with compassion, to sit with them as we would a guest, without needing to fix or flee. This act of staying present transforms discomfort into opportunity. In the pause, we allow pain to surface and move through us. We let clarity emerge from confusion, and we open our hearts to love that doesn't need to be chased. This is not weakness but strength, a willingness to be with what is, trusting that the pause itself is fertile ground for growth. This practice also shifts our perspective on what it means to receive. In our culture, receiving is often tied to earning, working harder, proving ourselves, or meeting certain conditions. But in Buddhist wisdom, life's deepest gifts don't require our striving, they require our presence. Love arrives not when we force a relationship to work, but when we open our hearts to connection. Clarity comes not from overthinking, but from letting the mind settle. Peace emerges not when everything is perfect, but when we stop demanding perfection. By pausing, we create the conditions for these gifts to enter, not as rewards but as natural expressions of life's generosity. To cultivate this practice, start with small moments of pause. When you feel the urge to rush, whether through a conversation, a task, or a worry, stop for a moment. Close your eyes, take a slow breath, and notice what's present. The sensation of air, the sounds around you, the rhythm of your heart. Ask, what am I missing in this moment? What is life offering me right now? These questions shift your focus from chasing to receiving, from doing to being. Over time, these pauses become sacred spaces where you reconnect with yourself and the world, noticing the beauty that was always there, waiting for you to slow down. The power of receiving through pause lies in its simplicity. It requires no grand effort, no elaborate plan, just the willingness to be still, to be open, to be present. In these moments, we discover that what we've been chasing was never far away. Peace is in the breath we're taking now. Love is in the connections we already have. Clarity is in the quiet of a settled mind. By pausing, we allow life to meet us where we are, not where we think we should be. This is the heart of Buddhist teachings. The present moment is enough, and when we stop running, we find that everything we need is already here, waiting to be received in the gentle embrace of stillness, the clarity of a quiet mind. In the relentless pace of modern life, our minds are often like turbulent waters, stirred by endless thoughts, worries, and distractions. We rush through days filled with plans, regrets, and the constant hum of external noise, rarely pausing to let the mind settle. Buddhist teachings offer a profound metaphor for this state. A glass of cloudy water, muddied by constant agitation. When left undisturbed, the sediment sinks and the water becomes clear. Similarly, when we allow our minds to rest in stillness, the chaos of our thoughts settles, revealing a clarity that illuminates our inner world and the present moment. This clarity of a quiet mind is not something we achieve through effort, but something we uncover through pause, a sacred space where insight, peace, and truth emerge naturally. The human mind is naturally restless, prone to jumping between past memories and future anxieties. In Buddhist philosophy, this restlessness is likened to a monkey swinging from branch to branch, never still, never content. We see this in our daily lives. The mind races with to-do lists, replays conversations, or frets over what might happen next. This constant mental stirring keeps us disconnected from the present, clouding our perception like silt in a glass of water. We may think we're solving problems by thinking harder, but often we're only creating more turbulence, obscuring the clarity that lies beneath. The practice of stillness, rooted in mindfulness, offers a way to calm this storm, allowing the mind to settle and reveal its inherent lucidity. The metaphor of the cloudy water is a powerful reminder of how clarity emerges. When we keep stirring the glass through overthinking, multitasking, or chasing distractions, the water remains murky. But when we set it down, even for a moment, the sediment begins to settle. In the same way, when we pause our mental agitation, the mind naturally clears. This clarity is not about forcing thoughts to stop. It's about creating space for them to pass without clinging or resisting. In Buddhist meditation, this is cultivated through practices like samatha, calm abiding, where we focus on the breath or a single point, gently returning to it when the mind wanders. Over time, this practice reveals a stillness that is not empty but vibrant with awareness, a quiet mind that sees clearly. This clarity transforms how we experience life. A quiet mind is not clouded by the noise of worry or the weight of expectation. It is open, receptive, and present. In this state, we begin to notice what we've overlooked in our rush, the subtle beauty of a moment, the truth of our emotions, the wisdom of our intuition. For example, think of a time when you were overwhelmed, your mind racing with stress. Perhaps you took a moment to step away, to breathe, to sit in silence. In that pause, did a solution emerge, not because you forced it, but because the mind's clarity allowed it to surface? This is the gift of a quiet mind. It reveals answers that were always there, hidden beneath the surface of our mental noise. Buddhism teaches that this clarity is our natural state, not something we need to create. The mind, when unburdened by constant striving, is like a clear lake, reflecting reality without distortion. Yet, in our culture, we're conditioned to keep the mind busy, believing that constant thinking is productive. We fill silence with distractions, phones, tasks, endless planning, fearing that stillness means stagnation. But the opposite is true. A quiet mind is not idle, it is alive with insight. It allows us to see the impermanence of our thoughts, the fleeting nature of our worries, and the completeness of the present moment. This seeing is the essence of prajna, or wisdom, in Buddhist practice, a direct understanding of reality that arises when the mind is still. Cultivating a quiet mind requires intention, especially in a world that thrives on noise. Begin with a simple practice. Find a moment each day to pause. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and bring your attention to your breath. Notice its rhythm, the sensation of air moving through you. When thoughts arise, plans, fears, memories, acknowledge them without judgment and gently return to the breath. This act of returning is the heart of mindfulness, training the mind to rest in the present rather than chasing the next thought. Even a few minutes of this practice can create a ripple effect, quieting the mind and opening it to clarity. The clarity of a quiet mind also deepens our connection to ourselves and others. When the mind is still, we listen more fully, not just to words, but to the emotions beneath them, the unspoken needs, the silent presence of those around us. We notice the world with fresh eyes, the way light dances on a wall, the rhythm of a stranger's footsteps, the warmth of our own breath. These moments, often dismissed as mundane, become sacred when seen through a clear mind. They remind us that life's richness is not in grand achievements, but in the quiet beauty of the now, accessible only when we stop stirring the waters of our thoughts. This practice is not without challenges. At first, stillness may feel unsettling as the mind resists the pause, surfacing with restlessness or discomfort. Buddhist teachings encourage us to meet these moments with compassion, to sit with them as we would a friend, allowing them to pass without judgment. This patience is key. Clarity doesn't come from forcing the mind to be quiet, but from allowing it to settle naturally. Over time, the mind becomes like the glass of water, clear, calm, and reflective. We begin to see our thoughts as transient, not defining, and our worries as waves that rise and fall, without disturbing the deeper stillness beneath. Ultimately, the clarity of a quiet mind is a gateway to living fully. It frees us from the illusion that we must always be thinking, planning, or doing to be worthy. It reveals that the present moment is complete, holding all the peace, insight, and connection we seek. When we cultivate this clarity, we stop chasing external solutions and start trusting the wisdom within us. We become like a still lake, reflecting the sky with perfect clarity, undisturbed by passing clouds. This is the power of a quiet mind. It doesn't change the world around us. It changes how we see it, revealing the truth that was, reconnecting with the soul. In the rush of daily life, we often lose touch with the deepest parts of ourselves, those quiet, enduring aspects of our being that hold our truest desires, wisdom, and essence. We chase external goals, fill our days with noise, and measure our worth by what we achieve, leaving little room to listen to the soul's gentle voice. Buddhist teachings remind us that stillness is the key to rediscovering this inner connection, a sacred pause that allows us to hear the whispers of our true self. By slowing down and embracing the present moment, we reconnect with the forgotten parts of our soul, the parts that know peace, that carry resilience, and that remind us We are whole, not because of what we do, but because of who we are. This reconnection, fostered through stillness, is a homecoming to our deepest truth. The soul, in Buddhist philosophy, is not a fixed entity, but the quiet awareness that underlies our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. It is the still presence that observes without judgment, the part of us that remains steady amid life's changes. Yet, in our constant striving, chasing success, approval, or the next milestone, we drift away from this presence. We become entangled in the stories we tell ourselves, that we're not enough, that we must do more, that happiness lies in the future. This disconnection leaves us feeling fragmented, as if something essential is missing, even when our lives are full. Stillness offers a way back, a space where we can peel away the layers of noise and rediscover the soul's quiet wisdom. This reconnection begins when we pause long enough to listen. In the modern world, silence is rare, drowned out by the hum of notifications, the pressure of deadlines, and the chatter of our own thoughts. We fill every moment with activity, fearing that stillness will leave us vulnerable or unproductive. But Buddhism teaches that this fear is an illusion. Stillness is not empty. It is full of presence, a fertile ground where we can hear the soul's voice, a voice that speaks not in words but in feelings, intuitions, and moments of clarity. When we stop running, we create space for this voice to emerge, guiding us back to the parts of ourselves we've forgotten in the rush. Consider a moment when you felt truly connected to yourself, perhaps during a walk in nature, a quiet evening alone, or a meditation where time seemed to dissolve. In that moment, did you feel a sense of wholeness, a quiet knowing that you were enough? This is the soul speaking, not through grand revelations, but through the simplicity of being. Buddhist practice, particularly mindfulness meditation, cultivates this connection by inviting us to sit with the present moment, observing our thoughts and sensations without chasing or resisting them. In this stillness, we rediscover the parts of ourselves that have been buried under the weight of busyness, our creativity, our compassion, our innate resilience. The practice of reconnecting through stillness is rooted in the Buddhist concept of anatta, or non-self, which teaches that our true nature is not defined by our roles, achievements, or even our thoughts. Beneath these layers lies a deeper awareness, a soul that is not bound by the ego's demands. When we pause, whether through meditation, a quiet breath, or a moment of reflection, we begin to touch this awareness. We notice the fleeting nature of our worries, the impermanence of our fears, and the enduring presence of our being. This noticing is not about escaping reality, but about meeting it fully, without the filters of judgment or striving. To cultivate this reconnection, start with a simple practice. Find a quiet moment in your day, perhaps in the morning or before bed, and sit in stillness. Close your eyes, focus on your breath, and let your attention rest on the sensations of the present, your heartbeat, the air against your skin, the sounds around you. When thoughts arise, as they inevitably will, acknowledge them gently and return to the breath. This practice, rooted in Buddhist mindfulness, is not about emptying the mind, but about creating space for the soul to speak. Over time, these moments of stillness become a sanctuary, a place where you can reconnect with the parts of yourself that know peace, that trust life's unfolding, that carry a quiet strength. This reconnection also heals the fragmentation caused by constant movement. In our rush to achieve, we often suppress parts of ourselves, our vulnerabilities, our dreams, our quiet joys, believing they're irrelevant to our goals. But these are the parts that make us whole. In stillness, we give them space to resurface. We may rediscover a childhood passion we abandoned, a sense of wonder we lost, or a compassion we've withheld from ourselves. This is not a sentimental process, but a practical one. By reconnecting with the soul, we align with our deepest values, making choices that reflect who we are rather than who we think we should be. The clarity that comes from this reconnection is transformative. A quiet mind, unburdened by the need to chase or prove, allows us to see ourselves clearly, not as a collection of roles or accomplishments, but as a presence that is whole in every moment. This clarity also deepens our connection to others. When we're in touch with our own soul, we listen more fully, love more freely, and meet the world with greater compassion. We begin to see others not as threats or competitors, but as fellow travelers, each carrying their own quiet wisdom. This is the ripple effect of stillness. It not only heals us, but also transforms how we move through the world. Reconnecting with the soul through stillness is not a one-time event, but a lifelong practice. Each pause, each breath, each moment of presence is a step toward home. It's a reminder that we don't need to run to find ourselves. We need only to stop long enough to listen. Buddhism teaches that the soul's wisdom is always present, like a clear lake beneath a stormy surface. When we pause, we allow the storm to settle, revealing the stillness that has always been there. This stillness is not an escape from life, but a deeper engagement with it, a way to live from our truth rather than our fears. Ultimately, reconnecting with the soul through stillness is an act of trust in ourselves, in life, in the present moment. It is a recognition that we are enough, not because of what we achieve, but because of what we are. In the quiet of a pause, we hear the soul's gentle reminder, "You are whole, you are here, you are home." This reconnection transforms our lives, not by changing our circumstances, but by changing how we meet them with presence, with peace, with a heart that knows its own depth. By embracing stillness, we don't just find the soul, we become it, living fully, authentically, and freely in the now. Trusting the universe's wisdom, the futility of seeking. From a young age, we are taught that happiness, success, and fulfillment lie just beyond the next milestone, a better job, a perfect relationship, a moment of clarity that will finally make us whole. This belief fuels a relentless cycle of seeking, where we chase external achievements, relationships, or experiences to fill an inner void. Buddhist teachings challenge this notion, revealing that endless seeking is not a path to fulfillment, but a source of suffering, rooted in fear and a sense of lack. The more we run after what we think we need, the more elusive it becomes, like chasing the horizon that forever recedes. By recognizing the futility of this pursuit, we can shift from seeking to trusting, finding peace in the present moment, and discovering that what we seek is already within us. In Buddhist philosophy, the act of seeking is often driven by tanha, or craving, which is identified as a primary cause of suffering, dukkha. This craving stems from a belief that something outside ourselves, whether it's wealth, love, or validation, will complete us. We internalize the idea that we are incomplete as we are, that our worth depends on acquiring more, achieving more, or becoming someone better. This mindset creates a cycle of dissatisfaction. Each goal achieved only leads to a new one. Each moment of joy fades into a new longing. The horizon we chase keeps moving, and no matter how fast we run, we never arrive at a lasting sense of wholeness. This cycle is evident in our daily lives. Consider how often you've thought, if I just get this promotion, I'll be happy, or if I find the right partner, I'll feel secure. Yet, when these desires are fulfilled, the satisfaction is fleeting. A new job brings new pressures, a relationship reveals new complexities, and the emptiness persists. This is not because our desires are wrong, but because seeking them from a place of lack keeps us trapped. Buddhism teaches that when our hearts are rooted in fear of not being enough, of missing out, of falling behind, even the most beautiful moments feel incomplete. The problem is not the goal, but the belief that it holds the key to our peace. The futility of seeking becomes clearer when we view it through the lens of impermanence, a core Buddhist principle. Everything we chase, success, relationships, even happiness, is transient, arising and passing like clouds in the sky. When we seek these things as permanent solutions to our inner discontent, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The job we thought would define us changes. The love we pinned our hopes on evolves. The peace we sought slips away in the face of new challenges. Seeking becomes a treadmill, keeping us moving but never truly arriving, because we're chasing something that cannot be held. Buddhism invites us to step off this treadmill by recognizing that the source of our fulfillment is not out there, but within us. The peace, love, and clarity we seek are not destinations to be reached. They are qualities of our present awareness, accessible when we stop running. This realization is not about abandoning our dreams, but about changing how we pursue them. Instead of seeking from a place of lack, we can act from a place of trust, knowing that what is meant for us will unfold in its own time. This shift transforms our relationship with life, from one of desperation to one of openness, from chasing to receiving. Consider a moment when you felt consumed by seeking, perhaps obsessing over a goal, worrying about a future outcome, or longing for something to make you feel whole. In that state, did you notice how your focus narrowed, how the present moment faded into the background? Now imagine pausing, taking a breath, and asking, what if I'm already enough? What if this moment holds everything I need? This simple act of questioning can break the cycle of seeking, bringing us back to the now, where peace resides. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is complete, not a stepping stone to something better, but a space where we can find wholeness without adding anything. The practice of moving from seeking to trusting begins with mindfulness. When you catch yourself chasing, whether it's a thought, a desire, or a fear, pause and observe. Notice the tension in your body, the restlessness in your mind. Ask, what am I seeking right now? What am I afraid I'll lose if I stop? By bringing awareness to these patterns, you create space to choose differently. Instead of running toward the horizon, you can rest in the present, trusting that life is unfolding as it should. This trust is not passive, it is an active surrender, a willingness to let go of the need to control and to embrace the moment as it is. This shift also frees us from the illusion of scarcity. Seeking often stems from a fear that we're running out of time, that opportunities are limited, that we must grasp what we can before it's gone. But Buddhism reminds us that life is abundant, not in material wealth, but in moments of presence. Each breath, each sensation, each interaction is a gift, complete in itself. When we stop seeking, we begin to notice these gifts: the warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter, the quiet strength of our own breath. These are not things to be chased, but things to be received, available in every moment we choose to be present. Ultimately, the futility of seeking teaches us that true fulfillment comes not from what we acquire, but from how we live. When we let go of the need to chase happiness, we find it in the simplicity of now. When we stop seeking validation, we discover our inherent worth. When we cease running toward the future, we realize the present is enough. This is the wisdom of Buddhist practice. By releasing the cycle of seeking, we open our hearts to trust, allowing life's blessings to flow to us naturally. In this trust, we find not just peace but a profound freedom, the freedom to be whole, here and now, without needing to chase what was never missing. Trust as a spiritual practice. In a world that often feels uncertain and unpredictable, the instinct to control our circumstances can be overwhelming. We seek to secure our future, to ensure outcomes, to eliminate doubt, driven by a fear that without our intervention, life will veer off course. Buddhist teachings offer a profound alternative: trust as a spiritual practice, a conscious shift from fear to presence that aligns us with the natural flow of existence. This trust is not passive resignation, but an active, courageous choice to believe that life unfolds with its own wisdom, delivering what is meant for us when we are ready to receive it. By cultivating trust, we release the grip of anxiety and open our hearts to a peace that arises not from certainty, but from surrender to life's deeper rhythm. The practice of trust begins with recognizing the fear that fuels our need to seek and control. In Buddhist philosophy, fear arises from tanha, or craving, a restless desire to fill an inner sense of lack. We fear missing out, falling behind, or losing what we hold dear, so we chase whether it's success, love, or security, believing that our efforts alone will make us whole. This fear keeps us tethered to a cycle of striving, where each achievement only sparks a new longing, and each moment is overshadowed by worry about the next. Trust, as a spiritual practice, interrupts this cycle. It invites us to pause, to breathe, and to believe, not just with our minds but with our souls, that what is meant for us will not pass us by. This trust is not blind optimism or a denial of life's challenges. It is a grounded faith in the interconnectedness and impermanence of existence, core tenets of Buddhism. The principle of anicca teaches that all things arise and pass, moving in a rhythm beyond our control. Trusting this rhythm means accepting that we don't need to force every outcome or know every answer. It means believing that life, in its vast intelligence, is always working, even when we cannot see the full picture. This perspective shifts us from a mindset of scarcity, fearing that time or opportunities are running out, to one of abundance, where each moment holds the potential for growth, connection, and peace. Cultivating trust as a spiritual practice begins with mindfulness, the act of bringing our attention to the present moment without judgment. When we notice ourselves caught in fear, worrying about the future, replaying the past, or grasping for control, we pause and observe. This pause is not about suppressing fear, but about meeting it with compassion. Try this. The next time anxiety arises, perhaps about a decision or an uncertain outcome, take a slow breath and ask, "What am I afraid of losing? What would it feel like to trust this moment instead?" By naming the fear and choosing to rest in the now, we create space for trust to take root, transforming our relationship with uncertainty. This practice is beautifully illustrated in Buddhist teachings through the metaphor of a river. Just as a river flows effortlessly around obstacles, trusting its path to the sea, we too can move with life's currents rather than against them. Trust does not mean abandoning action. It means acting with intention while releasing attachment to the result. For example, you might work diligently toward a goal, a new job, a creative project, or personal healing. But instead of obsessing over when or how it will happen, you trust that your efforts are part of a larger process. This trust frees you from the exhaustion of forcing outcomes, allowing you to engage with life from a place of presence rather than panic. Trust as a spiritual practice also deepens our connection to the present moment. When we stop seeking external solutions to our inner discontent, we begin to notice the richness of what's already here. The breath in your lungs, the warmth of sunlight, the quiet strength of your own heart. These are not mere placeholders, but gifts of the now, complete in themselves. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is the only place where life truly exists, and trust allows us to inhabit it fully. Instead of living in a future we can't control, we rest in the now, where peace and clarity reside. This shift from fear to presence also opens us to life's unexpected gifts. When we trust, we become like a tree that bends with the wind rather than resisting it. We allow life to surprise us with moments of serendipity, a chance encounter that sparks a new connection, a delay that reveals a better path, a moment of stillness that brings sudden insight. These are not accidents, but the natural outcomes of aligning with life's flow. Trust transforms our perspective, turning uncertainty from a threat into an opportunity, a space where life's wisdom can unfold in ways we couldn't have planned. Practicing trust requires patience, especially when life feels uncertain or slow. In moments of waiting, whether for a relationship to blossom, a wound to heal, or a purpose to emerge, the mind may rebel, urging us to act, to fix, to seek. But Buddhism teaches that these moments of waiting are sacred, opportunities to deepen our trust in life's timing. Try sitting in meditation for a few minutes each day, focusing on your breath and noticing when the urge to control arises. Gently let it go, returning to the present. This practice trains the heart to trust, not in a specific outcome, but in the process of becoming, in the quiet intelligence of life itself. Ultimately, trust as a spiritual practice is a path to freedom. It liberates us from the need to chase, to prove, to fill every moment with effort. It allows us to live with open hands, not clenched fists, to move through life with a soft heart, not a desperate one. When we trust, we align with the deeper rhythm of existence, a rhythm that does not require our constant intervention, but our willingness to be present. This alignment brings a peace that is not fragile, a peace that does not depend on everything going our way, but on our ability to meet life as it is. In trusting, we discover that the universe is not against us. It is unfolding with us, guiding us toward a wholeness that was always within, waiting for us to stop seeking and start being. The ripeness of timing. In the natural world, nothing is forced to bloom before its time. A flower opens when the conditions are right. A fruit falls from the tree when it is ripe, and the seasons shift in their own rhythm without haste or delay. Buddhist teachings draw on these metaphors to illustrate the wisdom of trusting life's timing. What is meant for us arrives not when we demand it, but when we are ready to receive it, like a fruit that detaches effortlessly from the branch. This ripeness of timing is a spiritual truth, reminding us that our journeys unfold according to a deeper intelligence, one that cannot be rushed without causing harm. By embracing this principle, we move from the fear of missing out to a presence that allows life's blessings to come naturally, fostering resilience, peace, and a profound alignment with the flow of existence. The concept of ripeness in timing is rooted in the Buddhist understanding of impermanence and interconnectedness. Just as a fruit ripens through the interplay of sun, rain, soil, and time, our lives are shaped by countless factors beyond our control. We often resist this, demanding that healing, success, or clarity happen on our schedule, fearing that delays mean we're falling behind or being forgotten. This resistance stems from a mindset of scarcity, where we believe time is limited and opportunities fleeting. Yet, Buddhism teaches that forcing ripeness, pulling the fruit from the tree too soon, results in bitterness, not sweetness. True fulfillment comes when we trust the process, allowing life to mature us in ways we cannot foresee. Consider the metaphor of a fruit tree. The tree does not strain or worry. It simply grows, absorbing what it needs from its environment. When the fruit is ripe, it falls without effort, nourishing the ground below. Similarly, in our lives, moments of growth, love, or insight arrive when we are prepared, not when we force them. Think of a time when you pushed for something to happen, a relationship to progress, a career shift to materialize, or a personal change to take hold, only to find frustration in the resistance. In hindsight, the delay often proved wise, giving you time to develop the strength or perspective needed to handle what was coming. This is the ripeness of timing, life's way of ensuring we are ready, protecting us from what we're not yet equipped to hold. Buddhism emphasizes that this timing is not random, but part of the universe's vast wisdom. The principle of paticca samuppada, or dependent origination, teaches that all things arise from causes and conditions, unfolding in a chain of interconnected events. When we try to shortcut this process, we disrupt the natural order, creating suffering. Instead, trusting ripeness means surrendering to the unknown, believing that delays are not denials but preparations. A closed flower bud is not failing, it is gathering what it needs to bloom. Likewise, periods of waiting in our lives, whether for emotional healing, a new opportunity, or inner peace, are seasons of internal ripening, where we grow in patience, compassion, and understanding. This trust shifts us from fear to presence. Fear whispers that we're running out of time, that we must act now or lose forever. It drives us to compare ourselves with others, to rush decisions, to fill every moment with frantic effort. But presence, cultivated through stillness, reminds us that the present moment is complete. In meditation, we practice this by focusing on the breath, observing thoughts of urgency without clinging to them. This practice reveals that ripeness cannot be hurried. It emerges when conditions are met, often in ways we couldn't predict. By being present, we align with this timing, finding peace in the process rather than the outcome. The ripeness of timing also teaches us about the beauty of surrender. When we stop demanding that life conform to our deadlines, we open to its surprises. A fruit doesn't scream for attention, it simply ripens, and the world finds it. Similarly, when we trust life's rhythm, we don't need to beg for what's meant for us. It arrives gently, perfectly timed. This surrender is not weakness but wisdom, a recognition that our limited vision cannot see the full picture. What feels like a delay may be life redirecting us, maturing us, or protecting us from unripe paths that would lead to greater hardship. To practice this, begin with awareness. When impatience arises, perhaps during a period of uncertainty or waiting, pause and reflect. What if this timing is perfect? What am I being prepared for? Notice the fear beneath the impatience, the belief that you must make things happen. Then breathe into the present, grounding yourself in what is rather than what should be. This practice, inspired by Buddhist mindfulness, cultivates trust in life's ripeness, transforming waiting from a burden to a sacred space. In this space, we grow roots of resilience, learning to find peace even when nothing seems to be happening. This trust in ripeness also fosters compassion for ourselves and others. We learn to be gentle with our journeys, recognizing that everyone ripens in their own time. A late blooming flower is no less beautiful. A slow healing heart is no less worthy. By embracing this, we release the pressure to perform on a timeline, allowing life to unfold organically. We begin to see delays not as failures, but as gifts, opportunities to deepen our presence and appreciate the journey. Ultimately, the ripeness of timing is a call to live in harmony with life's natural cycles. It reminds us that we don't need to pull the fruit from the tree. We need only to be present, to trust, to allow. When we do, life responds, delivering what we need with grace and precision. This practice brings a profound peace, a peace that does not depend on speed or certainty, but on the quiet faith that everything arrives when it's ready. In trusting ripeness, we become like the tree, rooted in presence, bearing fruit, not through force but through patience, alignment, and the simple act of being. Letting go of the horizon. The human heart often longs for a distant horizon, a future where all our desires are fulfilled, our fears resolved, and our lives perfectly aligned. We chase this horizon with relentless energy, believing that happiness, peace, or wholeness lies just beyond the next achievement, relationship, or moment of clarity. Buddhist teachings liken this pursuit to chasing the horizon itself. No matter how far we travel, it remains out of reach, always receding. This endless chase fuels a cycle of restlessness and dissatisfaction, pulling us away from the only place where fulfillment truly exists, the present moment. By letting go of the horizon, we release the need to grasp an unattainable future and discover a profound peace in the now, trusting that life's wisdom unfolds exactly where we are. In Buddhist philosophy, the act of chasing the horizon reflects tanha, or craving, a root cause of suffering. This craving manifests as a belief that our current state is incomplete, that we must reach some future point to feel whole. We tell ourselves, "I'll be happy when I get that job," or "I'll find peace once this problem is solved." This mindset traps us in a cycle of longing, where each milestone only births a new one, and the horizon keeps moving. The more we chase, the more we disconnect from the present, missing the richness of what's already here. Buddhism teaches that this pursuit is futile, not because our desires are wrong, but because they are rooted in the illusion that happiness lies elsewhere, outside the now. The horizon we chase is a construct of the mind, shaped by societal pressures and personal fears. From a young age, we're taught to look forward to the next grade, the next goal, the next version of ourselves that will finally be enough. This forward gaze is reinforced by a culture that glorifies progress, measuring worth by what we achieve or where we're headed. Yet, this focus on the future robs us of the present, where life actually unfolds. The Buddhist principle of anicca, or impermanence, reminds us that no future state is permanent. Even if we reach the horizon, it will shift again. True peace comes not from arriving there, but from resting here, in the moment that holds everything we need. Letting go of the horizon is not about abandoning dreams or aspirations. It's about releasing the belief that they alone define our worth or happiness. It's about recognizing that the present moment is not a stepping stone, but a destination in itself. When we stop chasing the future, we create space to notice the beauty of now, the warmth of a morning breeze, the sound of a loved one's voice, the quiet strength of our own breath. These are not mere distractions, they are life's gifts, complete and sufficient. Buddhism teaches that the present is the only place where we can truly live, where peace, love, and clarity reside, waiting for us to stop running long enough to see them. Practicing this release begins with mindfulness, the art of anchoring ourselves in the now. When you catch yourself chasing the horizon, perhaps worrying about a future outcome or longing for a different reality, pause. Take a slow, deliberate breath and bring your attention to the present. Notice your surroundings, the texture of your clothes, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the light in the room. Ask, what is here, right now, that I'm overlooking? What is this moment offering me? This practice, rooted in Buddhist meditation, shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, revealing the completeness of the now. This shift can feel challenging, as the mind is conditioned to seek. When we pause, we may encounter restlessness, fear, or a sense of emptiness, as if letting go of the horizon means losing purpose. Buddhism encourages us to meet these feelings with compassion, to sit with them without needing to fix or flee. In meditation, we learn to observe thoughts of longing or anxiety as they arise, letting them pass like clouds without clinging to them. This act of non-attachment doesn't erase our desires, it frees us to pursue them from a place of presence, not desperation. We act with intention, but trust the outcome to life's wisdom, knowing that what is meant for us will arrive in its own time. Letting go of the horizon also transforms how we experience time. In our chase for the future, we treat the present as a means to an end, always rushing toward what's next. But when we release this pursuit, time slows. We begin to savor moments, a conversation, a quiet walk, a single breath, with a depth that makes them feel eternal. This is the paradox of presence. By letting go of the future, we find infinity in the now. The Buddhist concept of shunyata, or emptiness, supports this, teaching that the present moment is not lacking, but open, full of potential when we stop filling it with projections of what should be. This practice also fosters a profound trust in life's unfolding. When we stop chasing the horizon, we begin to see that life is not a race to a finish line but a series of moments, each complete in itself. A delay in achieving a goal becomes an opportunity for growth. A moment of uncertainty becomes a space for insight. We start to notice life's subtle gifts, a kind word that lifts our spirit, a chance encounter that sparks inspiration, a quiet moment that brings clarity. These are not accidents, but the natural unfolding of a life lived in trust, where we allow the universe to work through us rather than forcing it to bend to our will. Ultimately, letting go of the horizon is an act of liberation. It frees us from the exhaustion of chasing what cannot be caught, from the anxiety of never feeling enough. It invites us to rest in the present, to trust that we are exactly where we need to be. This trust brings a peace that is not dependent on reaching the horizon, but on embracing the now. As we release the need to chase, we discover that the happiness, peace, and wholeness we sought were never out there. They were here, in the breath we're taking, in the moment we're living, in the heart that learns to trust. By letting go of the horizon, we come home to ourselves, finding that the present is not just enough, it is everything. The gifts of trust. When we release the need to chase an imagined future and instead trust in life's unfolding, we open ourselves to a cascade of gifts that flow naturally, without force or struggle. In Buddhist teachings, trust is not a passive state but a dynamic act of surrender, a conscious choice to align with the rhythm of existence rather than resist it. This trust transforms our experience, bringing peace that does not depend on external outcomes, alignment with our deepest truths, and unexpected opportunities that arise when we stop grasping. By embracing trust, we discover that life's greatest blessings, clarity, connection, and joy arrive not through frantic effort, but through the quiet faith that what is meant for us will find us in its own time. The first gift of trust is peace, a peace that is not fragile or conditional but rooted in presence. When we trust life's timing, we let go of the anxiety that comes from fearing we're not enough or that we're running out of time. This fear, often tied to the Buddhist concept of tanha, craving, drives us to chase external markers of success or happiness, leaving us restless and dissatisfied. Trust interrupts this cycle, allowing us to rest in the present moment. Instead of worrying about what's next or what we lack, we find calm in the now, where the breath is steady, the heart is open, and the moment is complete. This peace is not about having everything figured out, but about knowing we are held by life's wisdom, even in uncertainty. This peace manifests in tangible ways. Imagine a moment when you were consumed by worry, perhaps about a career decision, a relationship, or an uncertain future. The mind spins, replaying scenarios, seeking control. Now picture letting go, even briefly, and trusting that the path will reveal itself. In that moment of surrender, the body relaxes, the mind quiets, and a sense of ease emerges. This is the gift of trust. It frees us from the exhaustion of forcing outcomes, allowing us to live with a lightness that feels like coming home. Buddhism teaches that this peace is always available in the present, accessible when we stop running and start being. Another gift of trust is alignment with our true selves. When we chase external goals, we often act from fear or societal pressure, pursuing paths that don't resonate with our deeper values. Trust allows us to pause and listen to our inner wisdom, the quiet voice that knows what truly matters. In Buddhist practice, this alignment is cultivated through mindfulness, where we observe our thoughts and desires without being swept away by them. By trusting life's flow, we make choices that reflect our authentic selves, not the selves we think we should be. This alignment brings a sense of integrity and purpose, as our actions become an extension of our soul's truth rather than a reaction to external demands. Trust also opens the door to unexpected opportunities, what Buddhism might call the universe's quiet synchronicities. When we stop forcing life to conform to our plans, we create space for serendipity, moments that seem to arrive by chance, but feel deeply meaningful. A conversation that shifts your perspective, a chance encounter that leads to a new path, a delay that redirects you to something better. These are the gifts that come when we trust. For example, think of a time when a plan fell apart, only to lead to an outcome you couldn't have anticipated: a job loss that opened a new career, a missed opportunity that paved the way for a deeper connection. These moments are not random. They are life's way of guiding us when we let go of control. The Buddhist principle of paticca samuppada, dependent origination, supports this, teaching that everything arises from causes and conditions, unfolding in ways we cannot fully predict. When we trust this process, we become like a river, flowing around obstacles rather than fighting them, open to the bends and turns that lead to unexpected beauty. This openness allows us to receive what life offers, not with struggle, but with grace. A flower doesn't force the bees to find it. It blooms, and they come. Similarly, when we trust, we don't need to chase opportunities. They arrive when we're ready, often in forms more meaningful than we imagined. Cultivating trust as a spiritual practice begins with small, intentional acts. When you feel the urge to force an outcome, perhaps pushing for a quick resolution or worrying about the future, pause. Take a deep breath and anchor yourself in the present. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, the rhythm of your breath. Ask, what if I trusted this moment? What if life is working for me, even now? This practice, rooted in Buddhist mindfulness, shifts your focus from lack to presence, from fear to faith. Over time, these moments of trust build a quiet confidence, a knowing that you are part of a larger flow, guided by a wisdom greater than your own. This practice also fosters resilience, another gift of trust. Life is inherently uncertain, filled with changes we cannot control. Trust equips us to meet these changes with flexibility, not rigidity. Instead of collapsing under the weight of unmet expectations, we learn to bend, to adapt, to find meaning in the unfolding. This resilience is not about denying pain or uncertainty, but about meeting it with an open heart, trusting that even in difficulty, life is preparing us for something greater. The Buddhist concept of anicca, impermanence, reminds us that all things pass, and trust allows us to move through these passages with grace, knowing that endings are also beginnings. Ultimately, the gifts of trust, peace, alignment, opportunities, and resilience transform how we live. They free us from the need to prove ourselves through constant striving, allowing us to rest in the present with a heart that is soft yet strong. Trust teaches us that we don't need to chase life's blessings. We need only to be open, to be present, to be ready. When we trust, we align with the universe's rhythm, becoming like a tree that bears fruit not through force but through patience, like a river that finds its way without struggle. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. By letting go of the need to control, we receive the gifts that were always meant for us, arriving quietly, perfectly, in the sacred space of trust. Embracing the unknown, the trap of expectations. In our quest for certainty, we often construct detailed blueprints for how life should unfold: a perfect career, an ideal relationship, a specific timeline for success or happiness. These expectations, shaped by personal desires and societal pressures, feel like a roadmap to security, promising that if we follow them, we'll find fulfillment. Yet, Buddhist teachings reveal that these rigid expectations are a trap, limiting the boundless possibilities of life and creating suffering when reality diverges from our plans. By clinging to how we think things should be, we resist the natural flow of existence, closing ourselves off to the unexpected beauty of the unknown. Releasing this trap frees us to live fully in the present, open to life's infinite potential. The trap of expectations is rooted in the Buddhist concept of dukkha, or suffering, which arises when we cling to fixed ideas about reality. We create mental scripts: how a job should progress, how a partner should behave, how our lives should look by a certain age, and hold them as truths. When life deviates, as it inevitably does, we feel disappointed, lost, or even betrayed. This suffering doesn't come from the events themselves, but from our attachment to how we believe they should unfold. A missed promotion, a relationship that ends, a plan that falls apart. These become sources of pain not because they happen, but because they clash with our expectations, leaving us struggling against the natural impermanence of life. Consider a time when you held tightly to an expectation, perhaps envisioning a perfect outcome for a project, a relationship, or a personal goal. You invested energy in imagining every detail, convinced that this vision was the only path to happiness. When things didn't go as planned, the disappointment stung, not just because of the outcome, but because it shattered the illusion of control. Buddhism teaches that this clinging to expectations is like trying to trap the wind. It's futile, and the effort creates tension. The more we demand life conform to our mental blueprints, the more we disconnect from the present, where true peace resides. This trap is reinforced by a culture that glorifies planning and predictability. From childhood, we're taught to set goals, follow timelines, and measure success by how closely reality matches our expectations. We're told that a good life is one where everything falls into place, as envisioned a linear path to achievement. But life, as Buddhism's principle of anicca, impermanence, reminds us, is not linear. It is fluid, unpredictable, and alive with possibilities we cannot foresee. When we cling to expectations, we limit ourselves to a narrow version of reality, closing the door to paths that might lead to greater growth, joy, or connection than we could have imagined. The suffering caused by expectations is not just emotional, but existential. When we tie our happiness to specific outcomes, we place our well-being in the hands of circumstances beyond our control. A delayed dream feels like failure. An unexpected change feels like punishment. Yet, Buddhism teaches that these moments are not failures, but invitations to let go, to open to the unknown. The trap of expectations keeps us focused on what's missing, blinding us to what's present, the beauty of a moment, the wisdom of a detour, the potential in what we didn't plan. By releasing these rigid visions, we free ourselves to see life as it is, not as we demand it to be. Releasing the trap of expectations begins with awareness, a cornerstone of Buddhist mindfulness. When disappointment or frustration arises, pause and ask, "What was I expecting? Why do I believe this is the only way?" Notice the tension in your body, the resistance in your mind. This awareness reveals how expectations create suffering, not the situation itself. For example, if a relationship doesn't unfold as you hoped, the pain often comes not from the reality, but from the gap between reality and your mental script. By observing this gap without judgment, you create space to let go, to soften your grip on how things should be. This letting go is not about abandoning hope or ambition, but about holding them lightly. Buddhism encourages us to pursue goals with intention, but without attachment to specific outcomes. Imagine planning a journey, but being open to unexpected routes. A detour might lead to a breathtaking view you never anticipated. A delay might reveal a deeper purpose. This openness transforms expectations from rigid demands into gentle aspirations, allowing life to unfold in ways that surpass our limited vision. When we stop insisting on one path, we make room for the universe to surprise us with possibilities we couldn't have planned. The practice of releasing expectations also fosters a deeper connection to the present moment. When we're not consumed by how things should be, we become fully available to how they are. We notice the small miracles of now, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of laughter, the quiet strength of our own breath. These moments, often overlooked in our chase for the right outcome, become sources of joy and peace. The Buddhist concept of shunyata, emptiness, teaches that the present is not lacking but open, a space of infinite potential when we release our need to fill it with expectations. Ultimately, escaping the trap of expectations is an act of trust in life's wisdom. It requires courage to let go of the mental blueprints we've clung to face the unknown without fear. But in this release, we find freedom, not the freedom of a perfect life, but the freedom to live fully in an imperfect one. We begin to see that life's beauty lies not in meeting our expectations, but in surpassing them, in the unexpected turns that lead to growth, in the quiet moments that feel complete. By letting go of how we think life should be, we open our hearts to what it can be, discovering a peace that is not bound by plans but rooted in the boundless possibility of now. Surrendering to surprise. Life, in its infinite wisdom, often unfolds in ways we cannot predict, delivering moments of beauty, connection, and transformation through unexpected turns. Yet, we frequently resist these surprises, clinging to rigid plans and expectations, fearing the unknown will lead to loss or failure. Buddhist teachings invite us to surrender to life's surprises, to release our need for certainty, and embrace the mysterious flow of existence. This surrender is not a passive giving up, but an active opening of the heart, a willingness to trust that the universe holds possibilities far greater than our limited visions. By letting go of control and welcoming the unexpected, we discover a path to joy, growth, and a deeper alignment with life's natural rhythm. In Buddhist philosophy, attachment to specific outcomes is a root cause of suffering, or dukkha. When we fixate on how life should unfold, demanding a particular job, relationship, or timeline, we close ourselves to the vast potential of what could be. This attachment blinds us to the subtle miracles woven into the fabric of each day, a chance encounter that shifts our perspective, a delay that redirects us to a better path, or a quiet moment that reveals a truth we hadn't seen. Surrendering to surprise means loosening our grip on these fixed ideas, trusting that life's intelligence surpasses our own. It is an invitation to approach each moment with curiosity, asking, "What might unfold if I let go of my need to know?" This surrender transforms our relationship with the unknown. Instead of viewing uncertainty as a threat, we begin to see it as a canvas for possibility. The Buddhist principle of anicca, impermanence, reminds us that life is always in flux, never static. Just as a river carves new paths through the landscape, life's unexpected twists create opportunities for growth we couldn't have planned. Consider a time when something unexpected changed your life for the better. A missed opportunity that led to a new one, a random conversation that sparked a meaningful connection, or a detour that brought you to a place of beauty. These moments, often dismissed as chance, are the universe's gifts, arriving when we stop forcing life to follow our script. Surrendering to surprise requires a shift from control to openness, a practice rooted in mindfulness. When we notice ourselves clinging to a specific outcome, perhaps worrying about a future event or resisting a change, we can pause and breathe. This pause, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, creates space to release our mental grip. Try this. The next time you feel anxious about an uncertain situation, take a deep breath and ask, "What if I trusted life to show me something new?" This simple question shifts your perspective from fear to curiosity, opening your heart to the possibilities that lie beyond your expectations. It's like walking a familiar path and discovering a new trail, one that leads to a view you never knew existed. This practice is not always easy. The mind, conditioned to seek certainty, may resist the unknown, whispering fears of failure or loss. Yet, Buddhism teaches us to meet these fears with compassion, to sit with them without letting them dictate our actions. In meditation, we practice this by observing thoughts and emotions as they arise, letting them pass like clouds without chasing or suppressing them. This non-attachment allows us to approach life's surprises with a soft heart, ready to receive rather than resist. Over time, we learn that the unknown is not an enemy, but a teacher, guiding us toward paths we couldn't have foreseen. The beauty of surrendering to surprise lies in its ability to reveal life's hidden gifts. When we let go of rigid plans, we make room for serendipity, those moments when life aligns in ways that feel almost magical. A chance meeting becomes a lifelong friendship, a setback opens the door to a new opportunity, or a quiet moment of reflection brings a sudden insight. These are not accidents, but the natural outcomes of living in harmony with life's flow. The Buddhist concept of shunyata, emptiness, supports this, teaching that the present moment is not empty but open, a space of infinite potential where surprises can unfold when we stop trying to control them. This surrender also fosters a deeper trust in life's wisdom. When we release the need to dictate every outcome, we begin to see that life is not working against us, but with us. A closed door is not a rejection, but a redirection. A delay is not a punishment, but a preparation. This trust transforms how we experience challenges. Instead of fighting change, we approach it with curiosity, wondering what new possibilities it might bring. This mindset is like standing at the edge of a forest, unsure of the path ahead, but trusting that each step will reveal something meaningful. The journey becomes an adventure, not a struggle, filled with moments of wonder and growth. To cultivate this practice, start with small acts of surrender. When you feel the urge to control, perhaps pushing for a quick resolution or worrying about an uncertain future, pause. Ground yourself in the present with a mindful breath, noticing the sensations in your body, the sounds around you. Let go of the need to know how things will unfold, and instead, open your heart to what this moment might offer. This practice, inspired by Buddhist mindfulness, trains us to see surprises not as disruptions but as invitations to grow, to connect, to discover. It's about saying, "I'm ready for what I didn't expect," and trusting that life will meet you there. Ultimately, surrendering to surprise is an act of faith in the universe's intelligence. It frees us from the exhaustion of trying to predict and control, allowing us to live with a lightness that feels like freedom. We become like a flower that blooms without forcing the bees to find it, or a river that flows without needing to know its destination. The gifts of this surrender, joy, connection, insight, arrive not because we chased them, but because we made space for them. In embracing life's surprises, we align with its deeper rhythm, discovering that the unknown is not a place of fear, but a realm of possibility, where the universe weaves its magic, quietly guiding us toward what our hearts have always needed. The wisdom of uncertainty. In a world that prizes predictability and control, uncertainty often feels like a threat, a dark cloud looming over our carefully laid plans. We fear the unknown, believing it holds failure, loss, or chaos, and we strive to eliminate it through planning, worrying, or forcing outcomes. Yet, Buddhist teachings offer a radical perspective. Uncertainty is not an obstacle, but a teacher, a natural part of life's ever-changing flow. Rooted in the principle of anicca, impermanence, the wisdom of uncertainty invites us to embrace the unknown with curiosity and openness, transforming fear into a path for growth. By releasing our resistance to life's unpredictability, we discover a profound freedom, learning to dance with change rather than fight it. The Buddhist concept of anicca teaches that all things, relationships, achievements, even our own thoughts are impermanent, arising and passing like waves on the ocean. This impermanence is the heart of uncertainty, and our suffering arises not from change itself, but from our resistance to it. When we cling to fixed expectations, a specific outcome, a stable situation, a permanent state of happiness, we set ourselves against the natural rhythm of life. The unknown becomes a source of fear, because we believe we must control it to be safe. But Buddhism reveals that this fear is an illusion, born of attachment to a static reality that does not exist. Embracing uncertainty means seeing change not as a threat, but as a fundamental truth, a doorway to wisdom and possibility. This perspective shifts our relationship with the unknown from one of dread to one of curiosity. Instead of asking, "What if this goes wrong?" we begin to ask, "What might this moment reveal?" This curiosity is a practice of openness, a willingness to meet life without preconceived notions of how it should unfold. For example, think of a time when uncertainty felt overwhelming, perhaps a job loss, a relationship shift, or an unexpected detour in your plans. In the moment, it may have seemed like a crisis, but looking back, did it lead to growth, new opportunities, or a deeper understanding of yourself? These moments of uncertainty are not accidents. They are life's way of teaching us resilience, adaptability, and trust. The wisdom of uncertainty lies in its ability to strip away our illusions of control, revealing the deeper truths beneath. When we stop resisting the unknown, we create space for life to surprise us. A closed door might lead to a new path. A moment of confusion might spark clarity. A loss might open the heart to new connections. Buddhist teachings emphasize that this openness is not passive but active, a conscious choice to engage with life as it is, not as we wish it to be. The practice of mindfulness, central to Buddhism, helps us cultivate this openness by anchoring us in the present, where we can observe uncertainty without being consumed by it. To embrace this wisdom, start with a simple mindfulness practice. When uncertainty arises, perhaps a decision feels unclear or a future outcome unknown, pause and breathe. Notice the fear or tension in your body, the thoughts racing through your mind. Instead of trying to resolve the uncertainty, sit with it. Ask, "What is this uncertainty teaching me? How can I meet this moment with curiosity?" This practice, rooted in Buddhist meditation, trains us to see the unknown as a space of potential rather than a void to be filled. It's like standing at the edge of a forest path, unsure where it leads, but choosing to walk forward with an open heart, trusting the journey. This approach transforms uncertainty from an enemy to an ally. In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of shunyata, emptiness, teaches that nothing has a fixed, independent existence. All things are interconnected and ever-changing. Uncertainty, then, is not a flaw, but a reflection of this truth, a reminder that life is fluid, always unfolding in ways we cannot fully predict. When we embrace this, we begin to see uncertainty as a creative space where new possibilities can emerge. A career setback might reveal a hidden passion. A moment of doubt might lead to deeper self-awareness. A change in plans might guide us to a path we never considered. Embracing uncertainty also fosters resilience. When we trust that we can meet the unknown without collapsing, we develop a strength that is not rigid but flexible, like a bamboo stalk bending in the wind. This resilience allows us to navigate life's changes with grace, knowing that we don't need to control every outcome to be okay. For instance, consider a time when you faced an uncertain situation and chose to move forward without all the answers. Perhaps you took a leap of faith, a new job, a move, a difficult conversation, and found that the outcome, though different from what you expected, brought growth or clarity. This is the wisdom of uncertainty, It teaches us to trust our capacity to adapt, to thrive, to find meaning in the unfolding. The practice of embracing uncertainty also deepens our compassion for ourselves and others. When we stop demanding certainty, we become gentler with our own imperfections and the unpredictability of those around us. We recognize that everyone is navigating their own unknown, and instead of judging or resisting, we meet them with understanding. This compassion, rooted in the Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness, transforms our relationships, allowing us to connect authentically without needing others to fulfill our expectations. We become like a river, flowing around obstacles, open to the surprises of each moment. Ultimately, the wisdom of uncertainty is a call to live with an open heart, to see the unknown not as a threat, but as a teacher. It invites us to let go of our need for control and embrace life's impermanence, trusting that each change is part of a larger, wiser process. When we do, we find freedom, not in a life without uncertainty, but in a life where uncertainty is welcomed as a path to growth. We begin to live with curiosity, meeting each moment with a question: what beauty might unfold here? This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. By embracing the unknown, we discover that the present is not a place to escape, but a space to thrive, rich with possibilities we could never have planned. Divine surprises in life. Life has a way of unfolding in patterns we cannot predict, weaving moments of unexpected beauty, connection, and transformation into our paths. When we cling to rigid plans, we often resist these surprises, fearing they disrupt our vision of how things should be. Buddhist teachings encourage us to see these unexpected events not as obstacles but as divine surprises, gifts from the universe that lead to blessings greater than we could have planned. By opening our hearts to these moments, we align with life's deeper wisdom, discovering that what we thought was a detour is often a path to profound growth, joy, and meaning. Embracing these surprises requires trust, presence, and a willingness to let go of control, allowing life to reveal its hidden magic. In Buddhist philosophy, attachment to specific outcomes creates suffering by blinding us to the possibilities beyond our expectations. The principle of anicca, impermanence, teaches that life is in constant flux, and our attempts to force it into a fixed mold limit its potential. When we release this attachment, we create space for the universe to surprise us through chance encounters, unexpected opportunities, or moments of insight that shift our perspective. These surprises are not random. They are manifestations of life's interconnectedness, arising from causes and conditions we may not see. By trusting this process, we open ourselves to blessings that often surpass what we imagined, revealing the universe's quiet intelligence. Reflect on a moment when life took an unexpected turn. Perhaps a job you didn't get led to a career path more aligned with your passions. Maybe a chance conversation sparked a meaningful relationship, or a delay in your plans revealed a new opportunity. These moments, often frustrating at first, later prove to be turning points, guiding you towards something deeper than your original plan. Buddhism teaches that these are not accidents but divine surprises, moments when life redirects us toward what we truly need. A closed door might lead to a new path. A setback might make space for healing. A random encounter might awaken a dormant part of your soul. These surprises remind us that the universe is not against us but working with us, often in ways we cannot yet understand. The wisdom of embracing these surprises lies in the practice of surrender. When we cling to our plans, we resist life's flow, like a river trying to fight its own current. But when we surrender, we become like the river, moving with grace around obstacles, open to new directions. This surrender is not about giving up on dreams, but about trusting that life's timing and path may hold more than our limited vision. The Buddhist concept of shunyata, emptiness, supports this, teaching that the present moment is not empty but open, a space where infinite possibilities can unfold. By letting go of our need to control, we allow these possibilities to emerge, often in forms more beautiful than we could have planned. Practicing this openness begins with mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist practice. When an unexpected event occurs, perhaps a plan falls through or an unforeseen opportunity arises, pause and breathe. Instead of reacting with frustration or fear, observe the moment with curiosity. Ask, what might this surprise be offering me? How can I meet this moment with openness? This practice shifts your perspective from resistance to receptivity, allowing you to see the potential in what you didn't expect. For example, a cancelled trip might lead to a quiet weekend that brings clarity, or a rejection might push you toward a path more aligned with your true self. These are the universe's gifts, arriving when we stop demanding and start trusting. Embracing divine surprises also requires us to reframe our understanding of failure and success. In our culture, we often view unexpected changes as setbacks, believing they derail us from our goals. But Buddhism teaches that what we call failure is often a redirection, a necessary shift to prepare us for something greater. A relationship that ends might make space for a deeper connection. A project that stalls might teach resilience or spark a new idea. These surprises are not punishments but invitations to grow, to expand our vision, to trust that life is guiding us toward what our hearts need, even when it doesn't match our plans. This trust fosters a sense of wonder, transforming how we move through life. Instead of approaching each day with anxiety about what must happen, we wake with excitement for what might unfold. This wonder is like walking through a forest, unsure of the path but eager to discover what lies around the next bend. A kind stranger's smile, an unexpected moment of laughter, a sudden insight during a quiet walk. These are the divine surprises that fill life with meaning. They remind us that the universe is not a puzzle to be solved, but a mystery to be lived, full of moments that align perfectly when we stop trying to force them. To cultivate this practice, start with small acts of surrender. When life surprises you, whether with a delay, a change, or an unexpected gift, pause and ground yourself in the present. Notice the urge to resist or control, and gently let it go. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, I'm open to what this moment holds. This practice, inspired by Buddhist mindfulness, trains us to meet surprises with a soft heart, ready to receive rather than reject. Over time, you'll notice that these moments of openness lead to unexpected blessings, a conversation that heals, an opportunity that inspires, a quiet realization that shifts your perspective. Ultimately, divine surprises in life are the universe's way of reminding us that we are not alone. They are whispers of a deeper intelligence, guiding us when we trust its flow. By surrendering to these surprises, we align with life's rhythm, discovering that what we thought we needed was often surpassed by what life provides. This alignment brings a joy that is not fragile, a peace that does not depend on control, and a sense of connection to something greater than ourselves. In embracing the unknown, we find that life's surprises are not disruptions, but gifts, arriving with perfect timing to show us the beauty of a path we never planned, but were always meant to walk. Living with wonder. In a world obsessed with certainty and control, we often approach life as a problem to be solved, mapping out each step to avoid surprises and secure our desired outcomes. Yet, Buddhist teachings invite us to shift this perspective, to live with wonder by embracing each day with openness to its mysteries. This way of living transforms the unknown from a source of fear into a realm of possibility, where joy, connection, and transformation arise naturally. By letting go of rigid expectations and approaching life with curiosity, we awaken to the beauty of the present moment, discovering that the universe holds gifts far beyond what we could plan. Living with wonder is not about escaping reality, but about engaging with it fully, trusting that each moment carries the potential for magic. Buddhist philosophy teaches that clinging to fixed ideas about how life should unfold creates suffering, or dukkha. When we demand certainty, a specific job, a perfect relationship, a predictable future, we limit ourselves to a narrow vision, closing off the vast potential of the unknown. The principle of anicca, impermanence, reminds us that life is fluid, always shifting in ways we cannot fully predict. Living with wonder means embracing this fluidity, approaching each day not with anxiety about what must happen, but with excitement for what might unfold. It's like stepping into a forest without a map, curious about what lies around the next bend, trusting that the path will reveal itself. This shift from control to curiosity transforms our daily experience. Instead of waking with a checklist of tasks or worries, we rise with a question: what beauty might reveal itself today? This question, rooted in Buddhist mindfulness, opens our hearts to the present, where life's wonders, small and large, reside. A fleeting smile from a stranger, a sudden insight during a quiet moment, the warmth of sunlight through a window, these become sacred moments when met with wonder. They are not distractions from our goals, but reminders that life's richness lies in its unpredictability, in the surprises that emerge when we stop trying to control every detail. Living with wonder requires us to release the need to know. In our culture, we're conditioned to seek answers, to plan meticulously, to fear the unknown as a threat to our security. But Buddhism teaches that the unknown is not a void, but a space of potential, described by the concept of shunyata, emptiness, which signifies openness rather than lack. When we let go of the need to predict or dictate outcomes, we create room for the universe to work its magic. A cancelled plan might lead to a serendipitous encounter. A moment of uncertainty might spark a new perspective. These surprises are life's way of guiding us, showing us paths we couldn't have planned, but were always meant to walk. To cultivate this wonder, we can practice mindfulness, anchoring ourselves in the present moment. When fear or the urge to control arises, perhaps during a period of uncertainty or change, pause and take a deep breath. Notice the sensations around you, the texture of your surroundings, the rhythm of your breath, the sounds of the world. Ask, what might this moment hold if I approach it with curiosity? This practice, inspired by Buddhist meditation, trains us to meet the unknown with openness rather than resistance. It's like standing at the edge of a lake, watching the ripples without needing to still them, trusting that their movement is part of a larger beauty. This openness transforms challenges into opportunities. A delay that once felt frustrating becomes a chance to reflect. A rejection that stung becomes a redirection to a better path. Consider a time when life surprised you with something unexpected, a new friendship born from a chance meeting, a setback that led to growth, a quiet moment that brought clarity. These moments, often overlooked in our rush to control, are the universe's gifts, arriving when we're open to receive them. Living with wonder allows us to see these not as accidents but as part of life's deeper intelligence, guiding us toward what our hearts need, even when it differs from what we planned. Living with wonder also fosters a deeper connection to ourselves and others. When we approach life with curiosity, we listen more fully, not just to words, but to the emotions beneath them, the unspoken truths in a glance or a silence. We become more present with those around us, seeing their struggles and joys with compassion rather than judgment. This presence, rooted in the Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness, deepens our relationships, making space for authentic connection. We also become gentler with ourselves, recognizing that our own uncertainties are part of a shared human journey, not a flaw to be fixed. This way of living requires courage, as it asks us to face the unknown without a safety net of certainty. The mind may resist, whispering fears of failure or loss, but Buddhism encourages us to meet these fears with compassion, to sit with them as we would a friend. In meditation, we practice this by observing thoughts without clinging to them, letting them pass like clouds in the sky. This non-attachment frees us to live with wonder, to approach each moment as a gift rather than a task. Over time, this practice builds a quiet confidence, not in knowing what will happen, but in trusting our ability to meet it with an open heart. Ultimately, living with wonder is a celebration of life's mystery. It is a recognition that we don't need to control the universe to find joy. We need only to be present with it. Each day becomes an opportunity to discover something new, a moment of beauty, a spark of insight, a connection that feels like magic. This wonder transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, revealing that life's greatest gifts are not those we chase, but those we receive when we stop running. In embracing the unknown with curiosity, we align with the Buddhist truth that the present moment is enough, a space where wonder unfolds, guiding us gently toward a life of joy, transformation, and profound presence, living with non-attachment and compassion. Misconceptions of non-attachment. The Buddhist concept of non-attachment is often misunderstood, mistaken for a cold, detached approach to life that shuts off the heart and distances us from the world. Many imagine it as a state of emotional indifference, where we cease to care, love, or engage, retreating into a stoic isolation to avoid pain or loss. Yet, this is a profound misconception. In Buddhist teachings, non-attachment is not about closing the heart, but opening it wisely, loving fully, while understanding the impermanent nature of all things. Far from being a withdrawal from life, Non-attachment is a compassionate way of living that fosters freedom, presence, and authentic connection, allowing us to engage with the world without being ruled by fear or clinging. The misconception that non-attachment equals indifference often stems from a cultural bias toward emotional intensity as a sign of care. We're taught that to love deeply means to hold tightly, that to care about something means to cling to it, fearing its loss. This belief equates attachment with passion, suggesting that letting go diminishes our feelings. But Buddhism teaches that attachment is not love. It is fear disguised as love, a fear of losing what we cherish, a need to control what is inherently impermanent. True non-attachment, by contrast, is about loving without possession, caring without control, and engaging with life fully while recognizing that everything people experiences, even our own emotions, passes in time. This misunderstanding can lead to resistance against non-attachment, as it feels like a call to stop feeling. Yet, the Buddha's teachings clarify that non-attachment is not about suppressing emotions, but about experiencing them with clarity and freedom. The Buddha himself loved deeply, showed compassion for all beings, and engaged with the world. Yet he did so without clinging to outcomes or identities. Non-attachment allows us to feel joy, grief, and love more fully because we are not clouded by fear of loss. It's like holding a bird gently in your hand. If you grip too tightly, you harm it. If you let it rest lightly, it may stay, and even if it flies away, your heart remains at peace. Another misconception is that non-attachment means apathy or disengagement from life's responsibilities. Some fear it implies abandoning goals, relationships, or dreams, retreating into a passive existence. But Buddhist non-attachment is not about giving up on life. It's about living it with a lighter touch. It means pursuing goals with intention, but without tying your worth to their success. Loving others deeply, but without needing them to stay to feel whole. Enjoying life's pleasures without depending on them for happiness. This approach frees us to engage fully without being enslaved by our desires, creating a balance between effort and surrender that is both active and serene. The root of these misconceptions lies in the Buddhist principle of anicca, impermanence, which teaches that all things are transient. Attachment arises from the illusion that we can make things permanent: relationships, achievements, even our own identities. When we cling, our happiness becomes conditional, dependent on things staying the same. Non-attachment, however, recognizes that impermanence is not a flaw but a truth, and by embracing it, we find freedom. This freedom allows us to love without needing to possess, to care without needing to control, to live without needing to freeze time. It's a compassionate stance that honors the fleeting nature of life while fully engaging with it. To clarify this in practice, consider a relationship where you love someone deeply. The instinct to cling might arise from fear of losing them, fear of change. This clinging can manifest as jealousy, control, or anxiety, clouding the purity of your love. Non-attachment invites you to love them fully in the present, appreciating their presence without demanding they stay forever. If they leave, you feel the pain but are not destroyed, because your peace is rooted in your own presence, not their permanence. This is not indifference, it's love without chains, a love that is free because it does not depend on conditions. Cultivating non-attachment begins with mindfulness, observing when our love or care turns into grasping. Notice moments when you feel anxious about losing something, a job, a person, a dream. Ask, am I holding this too tightly? Is my happiness tied to it staying the same? This awareness, a key Buddhist practice, helps us recognize attachment without judgment. In meditation, we practice this by observing thoughts and emotions as they arise, letting them pass without clinging. This practice trains us to engage with life's joys and pains with openness, experiencing them fully while knowing they are impermanent. Non-attachment also enhances compassion, both for ourselves and others. When we stop clinging, we meet our own emotions, grief, joy, fear with gentleness, allowing them to flow without needing to fix them. We extend this compassion to others, meeting their struggles without trying to control their paths. This creates authentic connections, where love is given freely, not as a transaction expecting something in return. The Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness, supports this, encouraging us to wish well for all beings without attachment to how they respond. This compassion is not cold but warm, not distant but deeply present. Ultimately, non-attachment is a path to freedom, not a denial of feeling. It allows us to live fully in the moment, to love without fear, to pursue dreams without being defined by them. It's a recognition that everything we cherish is a gift, not a possession, and its value lies in its presence, not its permanence. By dispelling the misconception that non-attachment is indifference, we see it for what it truly is, a compassionate way of being that liberates the heart. We become like a river, flowing with life's changes, loving deeply yet lightly, present with each moment's beauty without needing to hold it forever. In this freedom, we find a love that is boundless, a peace that is steady, and a life that is fully lived. Loving without possession. In our deepest relationships, love is often intertwined with a desire to hold on, to keep those we cherish close, to ensure their presence in our lives, to secure their affection. This instinct to cling, however, can cloud love with fear, turning it into a need to possess or control. Buddhist teachings offer a transformative perspective. Non-attachment allows us to love deeply without possession, fostering connections that are free, authentic, and grounded in compassion. Far from diminishing love, this approach deepens it, enabling us to engage with others fully in the present moment without demanding they remain unchanged or forever ours. Loving without possession is a practice of freedom, where the heart gives generously, trusts life's flow, and finds joy in connection without chains. The Buddhist principle of anicca, impermanence, reminds us that all things, people, relationships, emotions are transient, arising and passing like waves on the sea. When we love with attachment, we resist this truth, clinging to others as if we could make them permanent. This clinging often manifests as fear of loss, rejection, or change, which can lead to behaviors like jealousy, control, or neediness. These are not expressions of love, but of fear disguised as love, rooted in the belief that our happiness depends on others staying a certain way. Non-attachment, by contrast, teaches us to love without needing to possess, to cherish others for who they are now, not for who we need them to be. Loving without possession does not mean loving less. It means loving more freely. Imagine holding a bird in your hand. If you grip it tightly, you harm it, driven by the fear it might fly away. But if you hold it gently, with an open palm, it may stay, and even if it leaves, your heart remains at peace. This is the essence of non-attachment in relationships. We love deeply, fully present with the joy and connection of the moment, but we do not demand permanence. We honor the other's freedom, just as we honor our own, trusting that love's value lies in its presence, not its duration. This approach allows us to experience love without the weight of fear, creating connections that are authentic and unbound. In practice, loving without possession requires mindfulness, the ability to notice when our love turns into grasping. Consider a relationship where you feel anxious, perhaps fearing a partner's distance, a friend's change, or a loved one's choices. This anxiety often signals attachment, a need to control the relationship to feel secure. Pause in these moments and bring your attention to the present. Ask, am I loving this person for who they are, or am I trying to keep them in a role that makes me feel safe? This question, rooted in Buddhist practice, helps us distinguish love from possession. By observing our feelings without judgment, we create space to let go of control, allowing love to flow freely. This practice transforms relationships into spaces of mutual freedom. When we love without possession, we give others the space to be themselves, to grow, to change, without needing to meet our expectations. This freedom fosters deeper connection, as it invites authenticity rather than conformity. For example, in a romantic relationship, non-attachment means appreciating your partner's presence without demanding they never change or leave. In a friendship, it means supporting your friend's journey, even when it takes them in a different direction. This approach creates trust, as both parties feel seen and valued for who they are, not for what they provide. Non-attachment also enhances compassion, a core Buddhist virtue. When we love without clinging, we meet others' joys and struggles with openness, not with a need to fix or control. This compassion extends to ourselves as well, allowing us to release the guilt or fear that comes with needing others to validate our worth. The practice of metta, loving kindness, supports this, encouraging us to wish well for others without expecting anything in return. By cultivating this boundless love, we create relationships that are not transactional but generous, where giving and receiving flow naturally, unburdened by demands. Loving without possession also frees us from the pain of loss. Because all relationships are impermanent, clinging to them sets us up for suffering when they change or end. Non-attachment doesn't eliminate the pain of loss. Grief is a natural part of love, but it prevents that pain from defining us. When we love without needing to possess, we can mourn a relationship's end while still feeling whole, because our peace is rooted in our own presence, not in another's permanence. This is not indifference but strength, a heart that loves fully, yet remains steady amid life's changes. To cultivate this practice, start with small moments of awareness. In a relationship, whether with a partner, friend, or family member, notice when you feel the urge to control or cling. Perhaps you're anxious about their choices or hurt by their distance. Pause, breathe, and bring your attention to the present moment. Feel the love you have for them without tying it to an outcome. Say to yourself, I love you and I let you be. This practice, inspired by Buddhist mindfulness, trains us to love with open hands, trusting that the act of loving is enough, regardless of what follows. Ultimately, loving without possession is a path to freedom, both for ourselves and those we love. It allows us to experience relationships as gifts, not possessions, to be cherished in the moment without needing to last forever. This freedom deepens our connections, making them more authentic, more compassionate, more alive. We become like a river, flowing with love without trying to hold the water, or like a tree, offering shade without demanding the traveler stay. In this way, non-attachment becomes the truest expression of love, a love that is boundless because it is free, steady because it trusts, and profound because it asks for nothing but the joy of giving. By loving without possession, we align with life's impermanent flow, finding peace in the beauty of connection, exactly as it is right now. The impermanence of all things. At the heart of Buddhist teachings lies the principle of anicca, or impermanence, which reveals that everything people, experiences, emotions, and even our own identities is fleeting, arising and passing like clouds in the sky. In a world that urges us to cling to what we love, achieve, or define ourselves by, this truth can feel unsettling, as it challenges our desire for permanence and control. Yet, embracing impermanence as a lens for living transforms our relationship with life, allowing us to appreciate each moment's beauty without needing to possess it. By understanding that all things pass, we cultivate non-attachment, not as a rejection of life, but as a way to engage with it more fully, finding freedom and compassion in the ever-changing flow of existence. Impermanence is not a philosophy of despair, but a profound invitation to presence. When we recognize that every moment, every relationship, every joy and sorrow is temporary, we begin to see each as a precious gift, valuable precisely because it will not last. The laughter of a loved one, the warmth of a sunset, the quiet satisfaction of a task completed, these are fleeting, like petals falling from a flower. Clinging to them, trying to make them permanent, creates suffering, as the Buddhist concept of dukkha teaches. Non-attachment, rooted in the understanding of anicca, allows us to savor these moments without grasping, to love them deeply while knowing they will pass, freeing us to live with open hearts rather than clenched fists. This perspective shifts how we experience life's joys and pains. Consider a cherished relationship, perhaps with a partner, friend, or family member. The instinct to hold tightly, to ensure their presence forever, often stems from fear of loss. Yet, this clinging can taint love with anxiety, turning connection into possession. Embracing impermanence invites us to love in the moment, appreciating the person for who they are now, without demanding they remain unchanged. When the relationship evolves or ends, we feel the grief, but we are not broken, because our love was not contingent on permanence. This is the gift of anicca. It teaches us to cherish what is here without being defined by what leaves. Impermanence also applies to our own identities and experiences. We often cling to who we think we are, our roles, achievements, or even our struggles, believing they define us. But Buddhism teaches that the self is not fixed. It is a process, constantly shifting like a river. Holding on to a static identity, such as "I am successful" or "I am broken," creates suffering when life changes, as it always does. Non-attachment allows us to let go of these rigid labels, seeing ourselves as fluid, ever-evolving beings. This freedom enables us to meet life's changes, new opportunities, losses, or personal growth with openness, knowing that we are not bound by who we were but free to become who we are now. The practice of living with impermanence begins with mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist teachings. In meditation, we observe the transient nature of thoughts, emotions, and sensations, watching them arise and pass without clinging. This practice can extend to daily life. When you feel attached to a moment, whether a joyful experience or a painful one, pause and breathe. Notice its impermanence, how it flows like water through your fingers. Ask, can I appreciate this moment without needing to hold it? This awareness, inspired by Vipassana, insight meditation, helps us see that all things pass, not as a loss but as a natural rhythm, freeing us to engage with life without fear of its changes. Embracing impermanence also deepens our compassion. When we understand that everyone's joys and struggles are fleeting, we meet others with greater empathy. A friend's anger, a loved one's distance, or our own moments of doubt become less personal, less permanent. We see them as waves in the ocean of existence, passing through without defining the whole. This perspective, supported by the Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness, allows us to offer compassion without needing to fix or control, to be present with others' experiences while trusting their impermanent nature. We also extend this compassion to ourselves, releasing the need to be perfect or unchanging, allowing our own evolution with grace. This understanding transforms how we navigate life's transitions. A job loss, a relationship's end, or a shift in plans can feel like a crisis when we cling to permanence. But through the lens of impermanence, these changes become opportunities to let go, to grow, to open to new possibilities. For example, consider a time when a loss, whether of a person, a dream, or a version of yourself, felt devastating. In time, did it not make space for something new, perhaps a deeper connection, a fresh perspective, or a stronger sense of self? These are the gifts of impermanence, revealed when we stop resisting and start trusting life's flow. Living with impermanence as a lens also fosters a profound appreciation for the present moment. Each experience, no matter how small, becomes a treasure because it is fleeting. A child's laughter, a quiet moment of reflection, the feeling of rain on your skin, these are not ordinary but sacred, made precious by their transience. Buddhism teaches that the present is the only place where life truly exists, and by embracing impermanence, we learn to inhabit it fully. We stop chasing a future where things last forever and start savoring the now, where every moment is enough. Ultimately, the impermanence of all things is not a call to detach from life, but to engage with it more deeply. Non-attachment, grounded in anicca, allows us to love without clinging, to act without needing to control, to live without fearing change. It frees us to meet each moment with presence, knowing that its value lies not in its duration but in its existence. We become like a tree, letting leaves fall in autumn without panic, trusting the cycle of seasons. By seeing impermanence as a lens for appreciation, we find a compassion that embraces life's fleeting beauty, a freedom that releases us from fear, and a presence that makes every moment a gift, shining brightly in its brief, perfect dance. compassion as strength. In a world that often equates strength with control, independence, or stoic endurance, compassion can seem like a soft or secondary virtue, easily overshadowed by more assertive qualities. Yet, Buddhist teachings reveal that compassion, when paired with non-attachment, is a profound form of strength, a quiet, resilient power that transforms how we relate to ourselves and others. Far from being a passive or sentimental emotion, compassion rooted in non-attachment allows us to meet pain, joy, and change with an open heart, free from the need to fix or possess. This compassionate strength fosters authentic relationships, deepens our presence, and liberates us from fear, enabling us to live with grace and connection in an impermanent world. Buddhist philosophy teaches that compassion, or karuna, is one of the four sublime states, alongside loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. It is the heartfelt wish for all beings to be free from suffering, offered without expectation or attachment to outcomes. When combined with non-attachment, compassion becomes a strength that does not cling or control but flows freely, like a river nurturing the land without demanding it stay the same. This strength lies in its ability to meet suffering, our own or others, with presence and understanding, rather than fear or resistance. Unlike attachment, which seeks to hold tightly out of fear of loss, compassion gives without needing to possess, creating connections that are authentic and unbound. The misconception that compassion is weakness often arises from our cultural tendency to view strength as dominance or self-reliance. We may believe that to be strong, we must suppress vulnerability, hide pain, or fix problems quickly. But this approach isolates us, creating distance in relationships and within ourselves. Compassion as strength, informed by non-attachment, offers a different path. It allows us to sit with someone's pain without rushing to solve it, to hold our own struggles without needing to erase them, to love deeply without demanding permanence. This is not weakness, but courage, a willingness to be present with life's impermanence, as taught by the Buddhist principle of anicca. Consider a moment when you encountered someone's suffering, perhaps a friend's grief, a family member's struggle, or your own inner pain. The instinct might be to fix, to control, or to turn away, fearing the weight of vulnerability. Compassion as strength invites a different response: to listen fully, to be present without judgment, to offer care without needing to change the situation. This presence is powerful because it honors the other's experience without imposing our own agenda. In a relationship, for example, compassion means supporting a partner's journey without needing them to fulfill our expectations, or meeting a friend's anger with understanding rather than defensiveness. This strength creates trust, fostering connections that are deep and genuine. Non-attachment enhances this compassionate strength by freeing us from the fear that drives attachment. When we cling to others demanding their love, approval, or presence, we act from a place of lack, fearing that without them, we are incomplete. This fear can manifest as control, jealousy, or neediness, straining relationships. Non-attachment, however, allows us to love without possession, to give without expecting return. The Buddhist practice of metta, oda, loving kindness, supports this, encouraging us to wish well for others without attachment to how they respond. By practicing compassion without clinging, we strengthen our ability to connect authentically, offering love that is free and pure. This compassionate strength also applies to ourselves. Non-attachment means meeting our own pain, doubt, sadness, or failure with kindness rather than judgment. Instead of fighting our vulnerabilities to appear strong, we embrace them as part of our human journey. For instance, when we feel inadequate, compassion invites us to sit with that feeling, to acknowledge it without needing to fix it immediately. This self-compassion, rooted in the understanding of impermanence, allows us to heal without forcing change, trusting that our struggles, like all things, will pass. This is a profound strength, as it frees us from the cycle of self-criticism and opens us to growth. To cultivate this strength, mindfulness is key. When you notice attachment arising, perhaps a need to control a relationship or a fear of losing someone's approval, pause and breathe. Observe the feeling without judgment, asking, "Can I offer compassion here instead of clinging?" In meditation, practice metta by silently wishing yourself and others well-being, starting with yourself. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. Extend this to others, even those who challenge you. This practice, rooted in Buddhist tradition, builds compassionate strength, training the heart to give without needing to possess, to love without fear. This approach transforms relationships into spaces of mutual freedom. When we offer compassion without attachment, we create room for others to be themselves, fostering trust and authenticity. A parent might support a child's independence without needing to control their path. A friend might listen to another's pain without trying to solve it. This strength does not demand reciprocity, making it more powerful because it is selfless. It allows relationships to flourish naturally, unburdened by expectations, as both parties feel seen and valued for who they are. Compassion as strength also liberates us from the pain of loss. Because all things are impermanent, relationships and experiences change. Clinging creates suffering when these changes occur, but compassionate non-attachment allows us to feel grief without being defined by it. We can mourn a loss while remaining whole, because our strength lies in our presence, not in what we hold. This resilience is not cold but warm, not distant but deeply engaged, rooted in the understanding that love's value is in its giving, not its permanence. Ultimately, compassion as strength is a way of living that aligns with life's impermanent flow. It is the courage to love, to care, to be present without needing to control or possess. It transforms relationships by making them free, authentic, and grounded in mutual respect. For ourselves, it fosters a gentle strength that embraces our humanity without judgment. By practicing compassion without attachment, we become like a tree, offering shade without demanding the traveler stay, or a river, nurturing the land without clinging to it. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Compassion is not a weakness, but a profound strength, a way to live fully, love deeply, and connect authentically in a world that is always changing. The freedom of letting go. In the dance of life, we often hold tightly to people, dreams, and outcomes, believing that clinging ensures our happiness and security. Yet, Buddhist teachings reveal that this grip creates suffering, tying our peace to things that are inherently impermanent. Non-attachment offers a path to freedom, not by withdrawing from life, but by letting go of the need to possess or control it. This freedom is not a loss, but a liberation of the heart, allowing us to live fully in the present with peace, joy, and an open-hearted presence that embraces life's fleeting nature. By releasing attachment, we find a profound strength, a freedom that allows us to love, live, and be without fear, rooted in the quiet wisdom of the now. The Buddhist principle of anicca, impermanence, teaches that everything, relationships, achievements, emotions, arises and passes like waves on the ocean. When we cling to these, we resist their natural flow, creating suffering, dukkha, as we try to make the transient permanent. Non-attachment is the practice of letting go, not by rejecting what we love, but by honoring its impermanence. This letting go is not indifference. It is a compassionate choice to engage with life without needing to control it, to love without possessing, to act without being defined by outcomes. This freedom transforms our experience, unburdening us from fear and opening us to the fullness of the present moment. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers, but if you hold it lightly, it stays. This is the essence of non-attachment, loving deeply, pursuing dreams, and engaging with life, but with an open hand that allows things to come and go. When we let go, we free ourselves from the fear of loss, the anxiety of control, and the pain of unmet expectations. Our happiness no longer depends on things staying the same, because our peace is rooted in our own presence, not in what we hold. This is the freedom of letting go, a heart that is steady amid change, a life that is full without needing to grasp. This freedom manifests in relationships, dreams, and even our own identities. In relationships, letting go means loving someone without needing to possess them. You cherish a partner, friend, or family member for who they are now, without demanding they remain unchanged or stay forever. If they leave, you feel the pain but remain whole, because your love was not a transaction but a gift. In pursuing dreams, letting go means working with intention but releasing attachment to the outcome. A failed project doesn't define you. It becomes a step in your growth. With your identity, letting go means releasing rigid labels. I am successful, I am broken, allowing yourself to evolve without clinging to who you were. This freedom is strength, not weakness, because it allows you to live without being held hostage by impermanent things. The practice of letting go is rooted in mindfulness, a cornerstone of Buddhist teachings. When you notice attachment, perhaps anxiety about losing someone, frustration over a delayed goal, or fear of change, pause and breathe. Observe the feeling without judgment, asking, what am I holding on to? Can I let this go with compassion? In meditation, we practice this by watching thoughts and emotions arise and pass, letting them flow without clinging. This practice trains us to meet life's moments with openness, to experience joy, pain, or uncertainty fully without needing to trap them. Over time, this builds a heart that is free, not because it avoids feeling, but because it feels deeply without being bound. Letting go also fosters compassion, both for ourselves and others. When we release attachment, we meet our own vulnerabilities, fear, sadness, doubt with kindness, recognizing them as impermanent waves passing through. This self-compassion allows us to heal without forcing change, to grow without needing to be perfect. For others, Letting go means offering love without expecting reciprocity, supporting their journeys without controlling their paths. The Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness, supports this, encouraging us to wish well for all beings without attachment to how they respond. This compassion is a strength that creates authentic connections, free from the demands of possession. This freedom also transforms how we navigate life's changes. Loss, failure, or uncertainty no longer destroy us, because our peace is not tied to external conditions. A relationship ends, and we grieve, but we know our worth remains intact. A dream shifts, and we adapt, trusting that new paths will emerge. This resilience, born of non-attachment, allows us to move through life like a river, flowing around obstacles without losing our essence. We become steady, not because we control the world, but because we trust our ability to meet it, whatever it brings. To cultivate this freedom, practice small acts of letting go. When you feel the urge to cling perhaps to a plan, a person, or an idea, pause and take a deep breath. Feel the tension in your body, the fear in your mind, and gently release it. Say to yourself, "I let this go with love." This practice, inspired by Buddhist mindfulness, builds a habit of non-attachment, freeing you to live with an open heart. Notice how this feels: lighter, softer, more present. Over time, these moments of release create a life where peace is not conditional, where joy arises from being, not having. Ultimately, the freedom of letting go is a liberation of the heart. It is the courage to love without possessing, to act without being defined by outcomes, to live without fearing change. This freedom does not reject life's beauty, but embraces it fully, knowing that its value lies in its impermanence. We become like a tree, letting leaves fall without panic, or a sky untouched by passing clouds. In letting go, we find a peace that is unshakable, a joy that is boundless, and a strength that is quiet but profound. This is the heart of Buddhist non-attachment, a life lived fully in the present, free from the chains of clinging, radiant with the freedom to simply be. Living with Buddhist wisdom. At the heart of Buddhist teachings lies a profound invitation to stop chasing the illusions of control, permanence, and external validation, and instead return to the present moment where peace, wisdom, and freedom reside. In a world that glorifies speed, achievement, and certainty, this path feels counterintuitive, even radical. Yet, it is in this radical simplicity, letting go, embracing stillness, trusting life's flow, surrendering to the unknown, and loving without possession that we find a life of true fulfillment. These core principles, woven through the fabric of Buddhist philosophy, guide us not toward escape, but toward a deeper engagement with life as it is, offering a freedom that is not bound by circumstances, but rooted in the heart's quiet presence. The first cornerstone of this wisdom is the release of control. Life, like a river, moves with its own rhythm, ever-changing and unpredictable. When we cling to rigid plans or expectations, we create suffering, resisting the natural flow of existence. The Buddhist concept of dukkha teaches that this resistance born of attachment to how things should be keeps us trapped in anxiety and frustration. Letting go of control is not a surrender of effort, but a surrender of resistance, a courageous choice to trust that life unfolds with purpose, even when we cannot see the full picture. This trust frees us from the exhaustion of forcing outcomes, allowing us to move with the river, finding peace in its natural bends and turns. Stillness is another pillar, a practice that counters the modern myth of constant movement. We are conditioned to believe that busyness equals worth, that a filled schedule is a full life. But Buddhism reveals that true richness lies in pausing, in creating space for the mind to settle and the heart to open. Through mindfulness, we cultivate a stillness that is not empty, but alive with awareness, a space where clarity and wisdom emerge. Like a glass of cloudy water left undisturbed, the mind becomes clear when we stop stirring it with worries and distractions. In this stillness, we reconnect with our soul's quiet voice, discovering that the present moment is not lacking but complete, holding all the peace we seek. Trusting life's timing is a further expression of this wisdom. The principle of paticca samuppada, dependent origination, reminds us that everything arises from causes and conditions, unfolding in its own time, like a fruit ripening on a tree. When we demand that life adhere to our timelines, we act from fear of missing out, of falling behind. Trust shifts us to presence, allowing us to see waiting not as delay but as preparation, a sacred space where we grow in resilience and patience. By trusting that what is meant for us will arrive when we are ready, we release the need to chase, finding peace in the unfolding process rather than the outcome. Embracing the unknown is a natural extension of this trust. The Buddhist principle of anicca, impermanence, teaches that life is fluid, never fixed, and our resistance to this truth creates suffering. When we cling to certainty, we close ourselves to life's surprises, those divine moments of serendipity, insight, or connection that arrive unannounced. Surrendering to the unknown is not about giving up, but about opening to possibility, approaching each day with curiosity. What might this moment bring? This openness transforms uncertainty from a threat to a teacher, revealing paths we couldn't have planned, each one rich with potential for growth and joy. Non-attachment, paired with compassion, is perhaps the most liberating of these principles. Often misunderstood as indifference, non-attachment is the art of loving deeply without needing to possess or control. It is grounded in the understanding that all things, people, experiences, emotions are impermanent. By loving with open hands, we free ourselves from the fear of loss, allowing relationships to flourish without the weight of expectation. Compassion, or karuna, enhances this freedom, enabling us to meet suffering, our own and others, with a heart that is present but not bound. This compassionate strength creates authentic connections where love is given freely, not as a transaction but as a gift, fostering bonds that are resilient and true. These principles converge in the practice of living fully in the present moment. Buddhism teaches that the now is the only place where life truly exists. The past is a memory, the future a dream. When we stop chasing a better moment, we discover that this one is enough, not as a means to an end, but as a space of infinite potential. Mindfulness, the heart of Buddhist practice, trains us to inhabit this moment with awareness, to meet joy and pain with equal presence, to let go of what no longer serves without fear. In this presence, we find a freedom that is unshakable, a peace that does not depend on external conditions, but on our ability to be fully here. Living with this Buddhist wisdom requires courage and practice. It asks us to go against the grain of a world that values doing over being, certainty over mystery, possession over freedom. Yet, each small act of letting go, each pause, each breath, each moment of trust, builds a life of profound simplicity. We practice by noticing when we cling, pausing when we rush, softening when we fear. We cultivate compassion by meeting ourselves and others with kindness, without needing to fix or control. And we embrace the unknown by asking, what might life offer if I stop demanding and start listening? These practices, though subtle, are transformative, reshaping us from within. Ultimately, the core of Buddhist wisdom is a call to return to ourselves, to the present, to the truth that we are enough as we are. It is a reminder that peace is not found in chasing the horizon, controlling the river, or holding tightly to what passes. It is found in letting go, in trusting, in being. This is not a path of escape, but of engagement, a way to live with a heart that is open, a mind that is clear, and a soul that is free. As we walk this path, we become like a tree, rooted in presence, offering shade without clinging, like a river, flowing with grace, unburdened by the need to control. In this freedom, we find not just peace, but a life that is radiant, connected, and whole exactly as it is, right now.